Hello, everybody. It's been a while since we last saw your pretty faces. My name is Graham, or Graham Crackers, if this is your first time tuning in. Here at Graham Crackers, we're all about making memories with friends, whether those are through TTRPGs, MMORPGs, or just video games. Tonight, we are once more resuming our D&D 5e campaign, where I will be resuming my role as Gaheris Nervos, Blackmont, the Tiefling Paladin Oath of Conquest, and I am joined by a lovely, lovely cast, who need no introductions, but I would like to know, who are they playing, and anything else they would like to add.
Hey guys, I'm Vero. I will be playing Utaka, the Water Ganassi cleric rogue of ill repute and bad deals. And I am joined by the wonderful, the sharp, the warlock, the ranger.
Yes, all of these things are true. Hello, everyone. It is me, Kari. I will be playing Israel, the half elf, Fey Pact, Warlock, Ranger Warlock, something like that. You'll figure it out someday. But yeah, as far as any other interesting factoid I'd like to share, well, Israel's not going to get in much sewing projects, but I sure am. So we'll see how we go as we fight a dragon and attempt that at the same time.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Derek Sword. I'm playing Grias Bramblefelt, who is a rogue. He's a bugbear. He's, but more than all of that, a swamp druid. And I'm realizing now that we should have called this episode Trick 7 because it has a dragon and a swamp and stuff. Yeah, dragons and cool things and all that. So welcome. This is going to be an exciting episode. We're going to track and potentially fight, kill, smooch a dragon. You didn't hear that last part. I'm gonna hand it off to Jeremy.
Well, thank you, Derek. Hello, everyone. As it was said, I am Jeremy, and I have the pleasure of playing with these wonderful folk yet again this week as the Protector Azamar Oath of Devotion Paladin, Sir Iran Blackmont, brother to Gaheris Nerthos of House Blackmont. I'm just excited to see where this goes. And without further ado, I will pass it off to our wonderful GM, Matt.
Hello, thank you, Jeremy. I am Matt, your DM. I will be playing everyone else, including the much excited for fighting and killing dragon. Without further ado, is everyone ready to dive back in to the Goldshine investigations?
Head first.
All right, head first it is. When we last left off, the party had concluded a hesitant but seemingly functional peace deal between the Emelian Empire and the Bluefield Alliance to settle the Bluefield Alliance's besieging of Jur in a peaceful manner. In truth, the Bluefield Alliance, while they were interested in sabotaging one of their enemy's primary coastal powers of the region, were more interested in tracking the Children of Red Sight cultists that had been spotted in the area, knowing that they were a larger threat than the war itself ever could hope to be. On looking into it, the party managed to find two dark elf dancers who had worked for Ringo, the bard who went by Arpeggio in the Children of Red Sight. And through some investigations with the local thieves guild, calling in a few favors and paying off a few debts, the party managed to confirm that the ally they had met in Valebright during the winter festival, Captain Brooke Buckler, may in fact be a Children of Red Sight operative themselves. However, they have found no proof of it beyond the word of the thieves guild as of yet. However, with time to kill, it will likely be a few days before the party's plan of luring in Children of Red Sight operatives by capturing the two Dark Elves bears fruit. The party has decided to take on a few odd jobs in the region while waiting for the situation to bear some fruit. And one of many contracts they took was one about sightings of a red dragon on the coast of Jor in recent months. And on looking into it, the party found that the rumors were indeed true, and the dragon confronted them and demanded all of their valuables. However, the party managed to negotiate them to just several weeks' worth of food and water. However, while the dragon, going by Bloodmaw, seems content with this arrangement, the party may not be as content as they have led the beast to believe. With that in mind, the dragon has taken the offerings all of you laid out and is beginning to prepare to fly away. With that said, though, we left off where we did for a specific reason. Utaka, do you have any agitations you'd like to bestow on the dragon before it leaves your immediate presence?
No, I can't say that I do.
Yeah, because that's actually true. We were like, wait, Utaka might shoot lightning at this thing before it flies away, so let's wait for next session to finalize
Okay.
this.
I wasn't caught up on the potential for that.
It was also standing in the lake, so it's probably wet.
Okay, so we want me to do this, is what I'm hearing.
I mean,
Okay,
we are
so-
open to the idea. You do not have to, because we're probably going to do that anyway, because it said it's dead.
This
Is also
dragon
like
did a
out in the
lot
middle
of
of the lake. So
talking down to us. It was very rude and very
Oh.
uppity, and we just all felt like if Utaka had been there in that moment,
he probably would have been considering frying
things
the
might have
dragon.
gone differently. Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
we did want to give you the option.
Okay, and to my recollection, it has something that we are planning on tracking.
It
something
has
like that?
so
We have the
it has
ducket.
also
We have the ducket.
swallowed like all of our rations, all of our canteens. It has taken all of our food and water and just dropped it down the gullet. So
And Ivron's ring.
and some poison.
Yep. Not to say that we weren't thorough before you got here, but
Gotcha. Okay, and we want to let it fly away, or we don't want to let it fly
It has
away?
indicated that it has a nest with young ones, and that is why it's taking the food and water.
we like kind of wanted to go with it. It did say that.
Which we want to track down and find.
Yeah, probably. 18K is only 18K after all. It could be, something larger than that.
Trixie.
Because I also had a plan that if you were actually there, we could put Garnet on an immovable rod and have it swallow that, and then have Garnet activate the immovable rod from inside the dragon. But that's backtracking, I think, a little too far.
Oh, that would have been exciting. Damn. I mean, she
The
would have
night,
deserved
the
it.
night's young, it's not rooted out yet.
Okay. I don't. I'm gonna go ahead and not try and stop it or get a pot shot in, because I feel like that's probably a poor use of my spell slots.
Okay.
Very fair.
Okay.
You can get a sneak attack round doing it the other way. I see where you're going with this.
All right.
Also, I won't waste call lightning on only one hit.
It grew up so fast. No, we determined it's red.
It spouted flames too, right? So we know it's breath.
Yeah, it's fairly likely that it is red based on the lighting right now. Red appears darkest in low or dim light. It's one of the darker colors that is most often mistaken for black. So at this point, we've narrowed it down to it's either red or a really warm black color.
But it did shy away from the light, like
Exactly. It
intentionally.
did shy away from the
like
light. It could be tricking us somehow. We don't know.
Could be brass.
Yeah.
But we
You
know
know.
that for a fact that it's not. We did do a true sight on it, and it was not that. It is a dragon.
Yeah, it's not using any illusion magic to disguise what it is. True sight reveals the true form
True
of a
sight
shape changer.
reveals polymorph, but it does not reveal some other certain forms of shape change.
It doesn't, because remember, it didn't reveal the true form of that Thieves Guild guy. So true sight does not reveal a physical disguise, but it does reveal magical ones.
Exactly, it's not a magical
But
disguise.
you would be able to see the spirits of the kobolds.
Wouldn't that only be with if you had like astral? Because
I'm going to keep a tab open that is just true sight. Just
no, yeah, I have to do that too because I legitimately sometimes forget what, because I know true sight reveals things that are invisible and illusions. God, 15 kobolds and a blimp.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you got me. 15 kobolds and a blimp.
I wonder if we can still manage to make them think it's a dragon and get the 18K reward anyway.
But all right, so with that said, then Bloodmaw rearing up their mighty wings, flaps, 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 wind blowing and billowing over all of your heads, your hair getting blown back, and the branches and leaves of the trees shaking before Bloodmaw turns, and rather than going towards Jor for the night, begins to head deeper into the center of the lake, flying outwards onto the water.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Matt.
No, go.
So a monster with true sight can, out to a specific range, see in normal and magical darkness, see invisible creatures and objects, automatically detect visual illusions and succeed on saving throws against them, and perceive the original form of a shape changer or creature that is transformed by magic.
Okay.
Furthermore, the monster can see into the ethereal plane within the same range. So if you're seeing into the ethereal plane, you actually can see the ethereal spirit of living beings.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how you would detect the 15 kobolds in a blimp.
Well, I guess
There's 15 ghosts in there. That dragon's eating a lot of ghosts.
Yeah.
A lot of ghosts. Anyway, but yeah, so Bloodmaw flies upwards and out towards the water and eventually blends into the darkness of the starry sky and crystal clear lake water and out of sight. You're all left alone on the shorefront of the Kipling jungle. And gradually, as Bloodmaw's presence diminishes, chittering and life begin to return to the surrounding trees once the animals seem more or less cozy that Bloodmaw is not immediately coming back. What would y'all like to do?
I think I'll go up to my sleeping bag. I'm assuming we have set camp at this point. Well, at least we know it's a evil dragon, and probably not.
I sense good in it, brother.
Were you not here when it extorted us and said that it had burned several ships, which I am assuming was with people in them, which would be murder?
Assuming is not something we should do, brother. Also, it was mere bolstering that he did, puffing out his chest, so to speak. Though I did see you got a little aggravated at that, eh?
What can I say? It is no different than a brigand on the road, in my opinion.
I would compare it more to like a king in a castle, because it did say that this is like his land and whatnot.
But he's
And
only but he's only been around and patrolling these lands for a certain amount of time. They weren't his at one point. He's
Sure,
expanded
it's the
his
same for all
territory,
land.
taking advantage of the Bluefield Alliance's push.
But if we're talking about any king in any castle, it wasn't always their land. They're still collecting taxes. If you're going to consider every single one of them evil, then that's fine because, fuck capitalism and everything like that. But still, I just following the same laws as everybody else. Claim some land, and no one's been able to say, hey, you're wrong, and they tell the tales, what it sounds like.
Quite likely.
I mean, I ain't never, argued with some fucking dragon named Bloodmaw before. I don't know about you.
I have not heard of this Bloodmaw before. No records of him that I can recollect exist, though that might not be his true name.
Either
You
way,
know-
we have a
you know
lot more
better.
information than we had before.
And does it really matter? We are set here to get rid of a problem regardless, which happens to be is a dragon.
All in favor of following the dragon to its lair? Great. How do we want to do that?
Well, I did put in my favorite canteen that I've had with me for quite a while, so I could locate object on that. Oh, I also threw in some poison. I didn't tell you all that, so it might be a little. It's not going to kill it, probably, but maybe give it a little upset tum-tum.
On top of that, we have the ducat.
Mm-hmm.
Ducat does get a little noisy the closer we get, so now that we've got backup option, that's
And
also
ducat
good.
also can't operate in it only operates in a flat plane.
Is that this fair?
So if it flies up, ducat can't really do much with that.
But it will tell us that it's easy up or down.
It's true.
If anything, it'll lead us to the lair, whether he be there or not. I can't imagine he's going to hold on to all that stuff.
And he did say that there were young mouths to feed, so likely. He's going back to wherever he beds down.
What of this Hydra, lycanthrope? Are we near that? No sense in leaving one trail for another, if we're that close.
I haven't seen hide nor hair of either as we've come this way, and
Hydra
I
nor hair.
suspect.
Jesus, right there.
You're welcome. Anyway, the Hydra will be some distance from here if the dragon is passing this close. That's food. Same for the lycanthrope. They're likely avoiding this patch of coast, much as the Ahul were.
Really should have taken that job on the Ahuls. Man, it's you and I killed.
I mean, if it's still there, we can always take it and say we took it.
That's how that works.
Still night, right, Matt? Like the middle of
Yes,
the night?
it's late. It's very late at night at this point. You guys would, like, normally, if you were on the road, be setting up camp at this point.
Okay. Well, I'll follow your lead. And he looks to Israel. You're the hunter.
I'm perfectly fine pushing through the night to some extent. What about all of you?
That is fine by me.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
We haven't really expended ourselves, and it would be a poor choice to lose the small advantage we might have waiting. So let's power up the ducat. And out comes the bucket and the duck. And she winds it. And asks for it to find blood mold. She puts it back in the bucket.
All right. God, I love this item. All right. Although, as you set it in, the ducat sits still for a moment, sways backward, sways forward, and then the wind-up key stops.
She just looks up, considering.
Yeah, well, no, basically, it's not doing the sound it does when it's at the location of the thing you're telling it to find. It basically almost like it was booting up, but then just stopped.
It can't connect to the internet.
Exactly. It's like, what's going on
Maybe
with my ducket?
maybe that name's not good enough.
One of the thing's real name.
Does that make sense?
I am going to try to say Bloodmaw and Draconic at it and wind it again and see if that makes any difference. Nope, it doesn't like that. Not that I thought it was going to tell us the truth, but that is disappointing.
Well, then anybody else got plan B, or I can just go ahead and cast locate object.
That was my plan. I'll reach to grab the bucket. Matt, is the water salt water or is it fresh water?
This lake is freshwater.
Okay. I will fill the bucket with fresh water.
Okay.
I don't have canteens.
Fair. So
And
filling
I
up
will
your bucket.
Fill up.
I would still have my canteen, actually.
Yeah, because you did not give yours up, and Blood Maw did not push the matter. So,
Nor would I have.
yeah.
That's
So
a decanter of endless water.
It's fair. I'll fill up some of the vials that I have with just water.
okay. All right. So Gaharis, you take your time to start stocking up on water, as that will be the party's main concern in the immediate future. What are the rest of you doing while Gaharis does this?
Which way did the dragon fly?
The dragon flew out west, which is taking it out onto the lake. It was originally going north towards Jor, but it stopped to accost you guys, and now it's heading west into basically the center of the lake.
All right, everybody, put your feet together. It's gonna get weird for a second. And Grios, as established before, will spit on everyone's shoes and cast water walk.
You really don't got it for me.
You gonna swim the whole time?
Probably.
If you want to swim, you can. I don't have to spit on your shoes. That's fine. I'm not into it.
That makes me feel a little better, actually.
This is not a thing for me.
I was a little worried, to be
I don't
honest.
control how these spells work.
I do not control when the spirits grant you water walking. If they say I gotta spit, I gotta spit.
When the great swamp spirit comes to you and says, son, this is the spell water walk. It's going to get weird for a second. You just sit there crisscross applesauce and you fucking listen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. My shoes are good. My feet are good. Don't know if there's a distinction there for you.
Again, you're making this a thing, and it's not a thing.
I feel like you made it a thing.
Again, great small spirit. Great small spirit come to me and said, call lightning. This is what you do. It's going to strike lightning on people. Druidcraft is what it does. Oh, isn't that neat? Isn't that great? Stinking cloud. It's like a fart, but worse. Water walk. It's going to get weird for a second. And I took notes that day. Hey, Taka? I wrote it down.
What's happening? I feel like Israel is walking along the beach and I guess along the shoreline, looking for any sort of edible grasses, like wood sorrel or those onion grasses to have something to chew on because they did give up all their food temporarily, and she doesn't want to go hunting a hools before they go across the lake.
Okay. So just for flavor, is there anything in particular you're looking for before I have you roll? Or just whatever's edible that you don't have to hunt.
Exactly. Whatever is edible and rather close at hand.
All right. Make me a survival check.
Cool. We're just listening to this debate.
Yeah. Just you listen when the swamp spirit tells you to spit on people's shoes.
All right, that is 18 plus 5. That's 23.
Okay. God, I love this party. Anyway, Israel, again, not really being all that interested in going hunting again. You patrol the nearby shoreline, and it doesn't take you long. On the At the tops of the trees, you see several berries and nuts that are growing at the tops of the trees, and you are able to, with your survival skills, climb up the trees and retrieve them without much issue. I'll say with a 23, you were able to get, I'll say, assuming none of it goes bad, 10 days of rations out of that. And if you're curious for like flavor, it's mostly bananas and coconuts.
He passes out a banana to everyone, considering that their food was taken before they could have eaten.
Yeah.
Just like, here, banana, before we go walking across the lake. And she, of course, digs into her banana without much fanfare.
Okay. Ivron, what are you doing while Griaz and Utaka argue? Israel gathers bananas and coconuts, and Gaharis restocks on water.
I guess Ivron will pull out his cold weather gear because now he can feel cold just like everybody else, and packing up whatever he has back onto Yao and pulling out a map annotating where they met the dragon and trying to see where maybe he might be headed to. West, center of the lake. Is there anything in the center of the lake?
Okay, maybe survival check, and since you have a map, I'll give you advantage.
Woohoo!
2 whole sessions maps have been important.
Yay!
I try to make maps actually useful.
I bought them for a reason. All right, where'd my dice go? There it is. That's a 15, and with advantage, a 19.
Okay. Ivron, as you change into your weather gear and unfurl the map while Gaharis finishes up gathering things, and Griaz, I presume you cast Water Walk on everyone who's not Utaka?
Yes.
All right. Ivron, you actually notice something looking at the map. That as you kind of look up in the direction you had seen it fly before it got too dark to see where it was going, and looking down at your map, it actually wasn't flying out into the center of the lake like you had thought. Although for notable landmarks, this in the center of the Lake of Mazai is the Sentinel Islands, where the original Mazaitian natives still live. You notice that with its westward direction from your current location, it actually would be heading it is likely heading into or across the bay that surrounds the town of Sedisfo. That would then lead into the Arrowhead Desert. So the dragon's either going into the desert or something in the bay between the jungle and the desert. But it's definitely crossing the water to get there, but that would just be the fastest approach no matter where it's going. But yeah, it's not heading to the center, it's heading into the southwestern part of the lake, which is a kind of isolated bay that the Arrowhead Desert and Kipling Jungle surround, with the town of Sedisfo in the middle. This is the sort of transitory area where the Sedisfo is the last of the Emelian Empire's territories this far out, and then from that point onward, you are in the territory of the Babwan Sultanate.
So, if Utaka and Griaz are still kind of bickering a little bit, he'll tap on Harris's shoulders and relay the message to everybody in their own time, as not to be rude.
Okay. Ivron informs all of you that it was actually heading southwest, judging by the map, and is likely either somewhere in the bay of Sedisfo or possibly gone all the way across the lake to the Arrowhead Desert on the other side.
What do we know about Sedisfo?
You specifically make me a history check with advantage because you did a bunch of noble
Ah.
elbow rubbing.
Well, glad I had advantage. First roll is a 2.
Okay.
And second roll is a 14.
Okay. You actually do recall. You've not been there. Oh, sorry, my internet stuttered for a minute. You've not been there, but you have heard of it. Specifically, your dwarfen friend by the name of Hilo Nakresan lived in Cetisfo, where they ran their mining industry, using Cetisfo as a sort of liaison between the Bogwin Sultanate, where their family primarily operates, and the Emelian Empire. From what little they described of Cetisfo itself, Cetisfo is an outlying Emelian Empire town. The ruling noble family is known to be a bit reclusive and private, similar to the Duke and Duchess of Jor. However, the people are overall happy. It's a booming industry trade town where basically it is the center of trade between the Emelian Empire and the Bogwin Sultanate. So even though it's this kind of outskirt town on the front lines of the war, it's this like booming industry town with actually surprisingly little military presence, since the only way to get to Cetisfo would be to get through the rest of the Emelian Empire first, to infiltrate the bay, which is heavily defended, or to get all the way through the Bogwin Sultanate's territory in the Arrowhead Desert. So despite being on technically the front lines of the war and the Emelian Empire's frontier in the southwest, it is a booming trade town with little military involvement, with a somewhat reclusive but overall well-liked family of nobility.
Have I ever heard of any dragons in that area?
No.
Okay.
The from last you heard, the last dragon that was seen here died a long time ago, and its body is actually still being harvested by the Bogwin Sultanate to this day. So the last dragon that operated here has died already,
Okay.
at least that you know of.
All right, then I will keep that information to myself until it's pertinent.
But yeah, so that's what you're aware of with Cetisfo and the Arrowhead Desert's dragon situation. There used to be a dragon there, but it died fairly recently. And
Who killed it?
otherwise, with your history check, you aren't sure. But from what you're aware of, the Sultanate clearly has the ability to harvest its body as much as they want. So if you're wondering if a competitive dragon killed it, you don't think it necessarily likely that another dragon would kill its rival and then just let humans harvest the body when the body
I mean, that's not what I would think at all. I was just wondering if it was an adventuring party or if it was more of like the Emelian Empire's army that did it.
You don't know.
Okay.
It's just sort of like a recent thing, like, oh, dragon died and we're harvesting it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's what you're aware of with the town of Cetisfo. It's a booming industry town on the frontier of the Emelian Empire, acting as a sort of liaison between the Emelian Empire and the Bogwin Sultanate. With that, Iran passes on to all of you the information he picks up. Gaharis, you keep your information on Cetisfo to yourself for now. Griaz, you have cast water walk on everyone sans Utaka. Gaharis, you've gathered up as much water as you can carry in what containers you have. What would you all like to do?
Shall we set off?
That sounds wonderful to me. Nathan, are you ready to go?
Naden gives a twirl of their head, and you hear the demonic voice in your mind. Let's hunt the beast.
Hold on, I gotta spit on your horse. Hang on. Yeah, all four. Got it. I'm sorry, you spooky pony.
He looks like a regular pony right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know otherwise.
Yeah, Naden kind of looks curiously at its horseshoes whenever you do this, but otherwise doesn't seem overly offended. And I'll assume you'll do the same for Yao, since everyone will presumably be riding them.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna spit on your weird pet.
That's kind of up to him. He might kill you otherwise. should probably ask you.
Can I spit on you? It's not. It's weird, but it's not like I wouldn't do it unless I had to.
You can see Yao kind of tilt their head to you, and they take a visible glance at the other party members whose shoes you've already spit on, and seeing that they don't seem offended or put off by it, Yao looks to you and kind of just stares at you, stone-faced, before not giving a yes or a no, just stretching out their paws, seeming kind of aggravated, but
Hey, trust me, I just gave up all my water. My mouth is getting dry from this.
All right. You cast Water Walk on the party sans Utaka, as well as Gaheris and Ivron's mounts. And I will say, Gaheris, since you're already in the process of gathering water, since Israel went ahead and fed everybody, do you want to go ahead and just give everyone water for the day and then refill? Yeah. All right. So you all also get water for the day. Gaheris passes around the bucket that you can all just kind of chug from before Gaheris refills it.
As they say, hydrate before you dehydrate.
With that, do you all set out onto the lake? Okay. Setting out onto the Lake of Mazai. What means are you guys going to use to track which way the dragon is going?
The locate object spell from our good pal Griaz.
Griaz, you good with that?
I think that.
Okay, let me double check the range just to make sure this should work. I just want to make sure.
It's 1,000 feet, I believe. So we might actually be out of range at this point.
Yeah, given that you took a few minutes. Yeah, I'll say given that you took a little bit. Yeah, no, it's up to 1,000 feet, and the dragon's speed would absolutely have taken it out of range by this point.
We can just head in the direction it was heading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
You know
probably
which
going
way
to be
it's going.
is Israel will head in the due direction of where it was last flying
Okay, make
at
me
a reasonable pace. Because if
Okay.
she is not mounted, she is probably going to take up that sort of loping jog that rangers can do to just eat distance.
okay. Israel, make me a survival check. Given that you are working with a creature that's not leaving obvious tracks and things of that nature, you will be making this at disadvantage because it is also the dead of night. Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So even with disadvantage, one was a 20, the other's 19. So 19 plus 5 is 24. She got it.
Hey, you know what?
She's a hunter. She is experienced.
You know
She's
what?
in her element.
For a roll like that, I'll throw you a bone. Israel, with Water Walk already cast on you, you kind of walk out a bit far into the water, just walking on the waves, which is a bit of an odd sensation, but not one you're completely unfamiliar with at this point.
It's
And
way better than being in the water, so she's 100% for it.
And you scan the surroundings. You keep your eyes peeled and your ears perked, and you catch movement in the towards the bay. Specifically, you see a splash of water, as if something large just dropped into it. And keeping your ears perked, there's actually a bit of a delay between you seeing it happen and hearing the very distant sound of something heavy entering the water. You manage to catch a brief glimpse of what you are confident is blood maw from the size diving into the waters of the bay. However, dragons fly fast, and from the looks of it, it'll take your party a day to get out to where you saw Bloodmaw dive. But you managed to catch just a glimpse of him, a day's journey out on the water, diving into the waters of the bay between the Arrowhead Desert and the Kipling Jungle.
All right. With that, Israel is going to sort of take them at a course for the length of, I guess, the water walk spell that cuts as much distance between them and the bay as possible without them all falling into the water. Because I presume that the duration is not a day.
It's an hour.
Yeah, so for an hour, she's going to take them cutting across the water essentially to cut off some travel time because presumably the coast curves and they can
Yeah,
take
it does.
a
So,
direct route at least an hour's, walk or ride.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll add a little bit of distance to your journey then. Uh,
Cool. And then,
uh,
and she would explain, I saw him, but I don't like what I saw.
Oh,
He dove into the bay in the distance. Unless he was
Huh.
diving for food, that might mean his lair is underwater.
that is that's very interesting.
You
Very
want me
interesting for a red dragon.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, and she'd like point out, sort of like using her arm almost as like a sextant to give like a bearing direction of that way.
All right. You want me to like get ahead of you guys? Because it'll take you a little longer.
You
Kind of
got
like,
sending, and you're probably faster in the water than any of us are on land, and we'll probably want to scout it out.
You should definitely keep an eye out for crocodiles, or are they are
Not crocodiles. Crocodiles don't live in this kind of water.
they don't.
a bit more brackish.
Bit cold for crocodiles.
Yeah.
What about
Indeed.
Sahuagin?
Potentially.
The Hagen, maybe. But I think those are oceans.
I
too.
mean, I generally try not to get eaten in the water, so
I've got faith in him. It's fine.
yeah.
Water trolls.
And if I do get eaten, I'll just,
Send us a screen? I don't know.
yeah, something like that.
Give them
Something suitably
indigestion.
traumatizing? Good. I'm glad
Or
we
I'll
had this
explode them
conversation.
from the inside out.
Yeah. Use call lightning on yourself. When in doubt.
I was thinking more like shattering their side and escaping, and not like killing myself.
I have a lot of fun. It's fine. Just say so.
Oh,
It would hit them first. That's all I'm trying to say.
yeah, and then I'd be like stunned and falling to the
Anyway,
death.
Utaka, you were gonna
just a
go
lot.
faster than us so that we don't lose our advantage. Pats you on the back.
When you do it, say
Alright.
Points you in the
Shazam.
direction. Got faith in you, bro.
All right, I'll get going.
okay. So, just so I'm clear, the plan is to just keep going, because bear in mind, if you continue past this point, you will take a point of exhaustion, because you guys have not had a long rest yet.
I'm just gonna sleep on Naden and let someone pull the reins.
Israel will take a point of exhaustion. She's used to that.
If somebody agrees to pull Naden along, I actually will allow Garrus to sleep on.
Ron will pull Nathan along.
Okay.
Exactly. If Ron wasn't going to do it, Israel would do it because like that's her dumbass boyfriend on that horse.
Yeah, it's his dumbass. Right?
Like,
Okay.
I feel like I'm just gonna let him wander off or fall
Just-
over.
Hey, Naden, hold the reins.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, everyone sans Gaharis takes a point of exhaustion. You all work your way in just this straight and narrow path across the lake before Israel starts to wind you guys back towards the jungle coast whenever the water walk spell's about to wear off. And you guys begin to make your way through the jungle. It's a little bit slower going as it's not just effectively flat terrain. There's like foliage you got to hack through and trees and stuff in the way. So with that said, you guys make your way along. However, with Israel's guidance and direct idea of where you're going, you actually do make your way along fairly fast. And before you know it, you're actually able to see the curve of the Arrowhead Desert across the lake from you, where the Mazai Lake sort of indents and then circles back around. However, a few interesting things happen before Utaka parts from the group that I figured I'd mention. First of all, as you guys notice the Arrowhead Desert sort of peninsula starting to come into view, you all notice that despite being in a jungle with a desert visible across the water from you, it is freezing cold. And in fact, you can see snow lining the desert, almost like fields of feather and fluff among the dark desert sands. And you can actually see the beginnings of glaciers beginning to form on the water itself. And the wind bites and claws at your skin. Griaz, even beneath the fur, you're starting to feel a bit of a chill. Utaka, the water starts to like freeze to your skin. And Israel, although this sort of cold is not completely unfamiliar to you, it's still not only difficult to navigate, but odd. Again, you're in a jungle. There's a desert within visual range of you, and there's glaciers.
Well, we know why the red dragon is underwater. It's warmer down there than it is currently in its probable usual habitat of the desert or the jungle.
So, another thing you notice, Israel, you notice this specifically, that this part of the jungle has a kind of odd smell to it. It's a bit hard to detect among the cold, almost like the cold is cloaking it, but you just barely managed to get this faint whiff of like acrid rot, almost this like toxic smell. But as you kind of it appears to be coming from deeper in the jungle itself. And other than that, you don't see anything else that immediately catches your attention. So you can see the Arrowhead Desert across the lake. However, the jungle and the lake itself are freezing cold, glaciers forming on the lake and snow beginning to form in the desert. And Israel, you pick up this kind of acrid, toxic smell coming from deeper in the swamp.
Do I recognize this as signs of a hydra? Or is this different than the usual sort of decay that they, or I guess, like toxic thing that they leave behind?
Make a nature check, and I'll give you advantage since you rolled really well on Hydra identification before, so we've established Israel has some knowledge with them.
You have flat roll then.
Oh yeah, because you have exhaustion, so yeah, flat roll.
All right, so that is 15 plus 4 is 19.
All right. By this point, most of you, sans Harris, are exhausted. By this point, you've been traveling through the dawn, through the early morning, mid-afternoon, and it's about to hit late afternoon by the time all of this is happening. Normally you guys would have arrived at nightfall, but Israel managed to get you there faster. Israel, with that roll, as you kind of sniff and try to like tune out just the cold that again like camouflages and cloaks the smell, and you imagine also would shield something that's rotting a little bit. As you take in a deep inhale and actually almost get instinctively nauseous, that's definitely a hydra. You would know that venom anywhere.
All right, as she brings everyone to a halt, sort of finds them a slightly sheltered place that isn't as toxic in this area.
Yeah, because bear in mind, it's not deadly toxic yet. It's just you're already getting the whiffs of it from deeper in the
exactly.
swamp.
So she finds a place that's, relatively safe, sheltered, a good spot to camp with the last reserves of her strength. And she says, the good news is we found the Hydra. Other good news is we're here a little earlier than I expected. Bad news is we all definitely need to sleep.
That is fine. I can take watch while you all sleep.
Excellent. And she'd point across to where she saw or remembered the dragon diving in to the bay, and basically tell him, like, watch that if you see it come out.
Yeah, and Utaka, do you still want to go ahead of the group to scout while they get some rest?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, because I can take like a more diagonal route than them, right?
Yeah, as long as you're capable of either swimming or getting across the water in some other method.
I guess it just depends on how exhausted I'm gonna get doing this. So
you won't get further exhausted unless you don't sleep through the next night. It's just late afternoon at this point.
So you've got a few
Okay.
hours left of you're fine until.
Then yeah, I'll go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. Harris, make me a perception check. Remember that because of exhaustion, you do have disadvantage.
I got
yeah, you got long
no.
rest. Yeah, you got to rest. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and also with that in mind, go ahead and note down a long rest. The party was traveling all day, so you definitely got a long one.
That is a 21.
Okay. Harris, you make yourself comfortable while the party starts to set up camp, and while you guys are doing it, yeah, Griaz and Ivron, you can start to pick up what Israel was talking about. You can get that kind of like acrid, toxic smell of the presumably distant Hydra's venom. Harris, as you sit down to keep watch through the night as the sun begins to set, Utaka, Israel, again, using their arm as a directional tool, gives you a good idea of where you're going. Where, or rather, what is your plan exactly?
I mean, I guess going as far as he can towards there for now, and I guess it'll depend on what he sees on the way there.
Okay.
When she saw it go down in, how far approximately was that from like a coast?
You didn't see it, and you're only going off of Israel's like rough estimate. However, I will say that given what Israel described to you and indicated, you would guesstimate. Actually, let me do a quick measurements here. They're fairly close to the coastlines of both the Arrowhead Desert and the Kipling Jungle, only like a few miles out in either direction. They are a bit further out from where Sedisfo itself is, though, almost twice the distance.
All right. So then he will start heading in that direction, but kind of curve a little bit to be a little closer to the coast than wherever the direct descent was.
Okay. Okay.
So he doesn't like accidentally find himself directly on top of a dragon.
Fair. Okay, noted. So, investigating the area but sticking to the coast. Make me an investigation check.
Okay. If he is able to get over there directly, without any much problem, then he knows he's tired. So he's going to kind of like try and steady himself and would like to cast enhance ability on himself to kind of like wake himself up a little bit. A little shot of adrenaline. So
Okay.
if he's looking around, then I guess advantage on intelligence checks to counteract the
Okay.
disadvantage.
All right, so yeah, Utaka, as you make your way out from the coast, are you swimming or walking along the water just for flavor?
Swimming.
All right, so as you swim out, you can feel yourself, the water's freezing, your dripping skin is like frosting to you, and you're tired, but giving yourself a magical sort of jolt, you manage to kind of wake yourself up and keep going. How'd you do on the investigation?
Oh. 11.
Okay. Utaka, taking a look around. The jolt wakes you up, but only for like the moment that it lasts, and keeping to the coast, you start to survey the area. This part of the bay is particularly thick with glacial shards beginning to form as the water begins to freeze, and you can actually see some snowfall in the distant desert itself, which very unusual. Taking a look around, you can see the distant towers and town of Sedisfo across the bay, but you're surrounded by glaciers. You're freezing cold, and as you swim in the water, you don't see any obvious signs of where the dragon's actual descent was, nor any other things that catch your attention. However, I will say that you recall that from what you were told, that these sightings of blood maw happen nightly. So you do guesstimate that if you pick a spot and wait, you may be able to catch him emerging from wherever the thing is and possibly even leaving the area, giving you time to investigate if you want to take that risk.
I'm gonna start diving down actually. Because it
Okay.
should be a little warmer down there than all
Better
this
than
up
being on the
here.
freezing top side, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not really feeling it up here.
Okay.
So heading down, he's gonna try and find some sort of way if there, I don't know if there's like seaweed down here or coral or anything like that, but try and be a little stealthy. Like get down to the
Okay. Out of curiosity, just so I know how far down can you go? Because
I mean, we're not in the middle of the ocean, right?
oh yeah, just like basically because if you want to actually start looking around down there, I wanted to know if like you could go all the way to the bottom and back, or if it would like be a thing if you have to kind of stay close to the top, or just what that situation was going to be.
I mean, he can breathe water, so
Okay.
he can just go down.
Okay, just yeah, I wasn't sure if you could, so I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, he is a water genasi.
Okay, yeah, just checking. Okay. Making your way down, you take a breath of freezing air and dive. Swim, swim. Again, it's starting to hit nightfall by this point, so the water is dark and it's kind of difficult for you to see. With that in mind, make me another investigation check to see what you find underwater.
Like a little prayer to Umberley, be like, "Don't fuck me over this time." For guidance. So that will make this a 19.
Okay. Utaka, as you say your prayer, desperate to find something in the pitch black water. For all of your connection to water, you're still not made to live in it. However, as if answering your prayer, your vision begins to clear. The darkness of the water almost begins to part like fog. And you begin to start making things out. You can see a reef on the floor of the lake. And you can actually see some life dotting in it. Corals and starfish and eels all swimming around. You can see creatures known as jullies floating ambiently around. You know them to be potentially dangerous, but not overly so. And in fact, you've back where you come from, you've known people to keep them as pets or eat them as food. As you take in, you almost find yourself smiling as you look at life continuing to go on. And while it's not as bustling as you would expect a reef like this to be, given the cold, there's still life here, and that brings you some modicum of joy. However, almost as if your senses are divinely broadening into the surrounding water as your arms stretch outwards as you continue to kind of tread the water, you begin to make out that among the shapes of the glaciers, you notice that there was something you missed. Nestled between two glaciers, hidden from sight, is what you recognize to be the underside of a boat. What appears to be a longboat of some kind, something akin to a galley. And tracing down from there as your vision continues to clear and your senses continue to broaden and expand, you begin to make something out deep, deep in the waters of the lake. This large glass, what you initially think might be an orb, but you see it's like stuck in the ground, forming this dome-like shape. And extending out from it, you can see pipes and long strands of what looks to be metal. You see beneath this boat, hidden by the glaciers, some sort of underwater dome. And from in that dome, you can see several flickering, glistening lights, almost like what you think might have been, what you think might be schools of fish or something. But the lights don't move and shift in the right ways for that. When they move, it's too fast, and when they stop, it's too still. It's definitely artificial or people.
All right. Damn, that's a lot. Okay. He's gonna kind of fall back a bit, down into the reef. And looking up, can he tell what time of day it is from here?
Looking up at what little light is left, you would guesstimate that it's definitely getting late at night now. You'd estimate maybe something in the ballpark of like 9ish, 10ish. If you head back now, you would still have time to get a long rest. However, you can wait here to either find something else or potentially see blood moths emergence from wherever it is they're nesting in.
All right, he's gonna send to Israel. Hey, I'm like down here, there's weird lights, there's glass, there's a boat. I don't know. I'm gonna take a nap.
Her
Call you
being
tomorrow.
possibly like partially into sleep herself takes like responds to the sending with a garbled like a sure thing, man. Sounds good.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
translation from like how long Utaka's been around a half awake Israel. Like it made sense. It made sense to him, communicating mind to mind as this was, but like it was not really anything coherent. We can hope that she remembers upon waking.
Yeah, at this point, I think during the time Utaka has been gone and the rest of the party has been resting, I have been piling branches on top of them all to hide them. To stealth our little campsite from the dragon.
Make a stealth check.
Sure. Do you want me to apply the disadvantage my armor makes, or...
I'll say you can, well, because you do have to stealth yourself too if you want to hide from blood moths. So
I mean, that's true.
So I'll say keep the disadvantage for now.
Well, that's a nat one. A total of, it's a total of 5.
Okay. Harris, you thinking quickly, go out and find some sticks and leaves and lay them atop Israel and Griaz and Ivron. They are so well hidden.
Really, I'm just building a pyre. Preemptively. Yeah, so I will cover them all as best as I can, and then I'll kind of take a post. What does the terrain look like around where we are?
You guys are on one of the kind of silty, rocky beach shorelines of the Kipling jungle. So it's relatively flat. It's a rocky, sort of uphill beach that goes down into the lake and up into the jungle tree line. The trees are a bit of a distance away, but given that Israel picked somewhere kind of sheltered a bit, you guys are, I figure, are kind of in a kind of small, like, area of the trees that shields you from above, like the canopy would shield you from something flying overhead, but you can still clearly see the lakefront.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I've got. I'll just keep watch then. At that point.
Okay. Utaka, do you want to just take a nap down here?
Yeah, he's just gonna sleep at the bottom of that fucking bay. Why the fuck not?
All right. Kind of nestling into the reef, careful not to disrupt one of the eel's dens. You kind of anchor yourself using your arm and leg, so that you don't just drift around, and settle in for a nap. You are tired. And Gaharis, as soon as the clock hits midnight, everyone's asleep except for you. Utaka has yet to return. You heard Israel briefly sleepily mutter, but nothing more of indication of the cleric rogue. But looking out, you see a distant kind of bubbling on the surface of the bay before you see a familiar pair of lights, before Bloodmaw emerges from the water. Water splashes and scatters like rain over the bay, and you can immediately hear the Ahuls and animals panic and flee deeper into the jungle. And the dragon kind of scans its surroundings as it hovers in place. The desert, Cetus foe, the Kipling jungle, and its spotlight eyes lock onto you. And it stares for a moment before giving a deep, distant, it's still several miles away, but distant roar before flapping and begins to make its way towards you.
Well, it sounds like they've seen us. Everyone up and at them, we're going to kill a dragon.
All of you just hear Gaharis shouting this
Oh,
as
this
you're
is
all
not even shouting. This is me kicking their boots. Just being nonchalant about this.
Come on, guys, wake up.
I've
Ron's
definitely...
brushing his teeth.
How much sleep have we got?
Turn off with him.
At this point, you guys have gotten, I'd say, at best, like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So I'll say everyone gets a short rest. I will say though that everyone no longer has exhaustion, but everyone go ahead and pen down a short rest, not a long rest. So you're no longer exhausted and you got a short rest, but that's it.
Longer exhausted.
Well, since it's a few miles away, I'd like to burn a second level spell slot as I cast Aid on myself, Ivron, and Israel, giving us 5 temp HP, or raising our max HP by 5.
Does it stack if Ivron does it?
I think
So
so.
Ivron would have done it as well.
Yeah, usually they specify if similar effects don't stack, so it should.
All right. Well, then he'll do the same this time, excluding himself and adding Griaz.
Okay.
So Griaz gets an additional 5 HP, and Israel and Harris get another 5.
Okay.
Ivron, do you have time for a speech?
It's like a whole 10 minutes for that, I'm pretty sure.
I
yeah,
mean,
if we have 10
they're a
minutes,
mile
we'll-
away. Do we think that
dragons
we
are-
have about 10 minutes?
I'll tell you what, Gaharis, make me I'll call it survival check.
This is a warfare check. The only type of math knights know how to do is if the
doesn't
velocity
even
of a
take me
flying
to-
projectile is heading at you.
I'm not the most fit person. It doesn't even take me 10 minutes to walk, or run a mile.
Let's see. Survival, that is a 24.
You do not have 10 minutes. If you're lucky, you have 5.
So if we're lucky, we have about 5 minutes.
Bear in mind that dragons, when they're flying, are over twice as fast as a person can sprint.
Israel, what's your overall range?
Overall?
Yeah, how far away can you hit stuff?
320 paces, feet.
It's not bad.
So what do we know about dragons' combat capabilities outside of breath weapons?
Make a history check. I'll give you advantage since you've established that the Hell Knights have a history with them.
21.
Assuming this is in truth a red dragon, you know that it can breathe fire. However, it does take some time for that to build up, so it can't just keep doing it over and over again. You mostly have to worry about its claws and bites. You don't know how old this dragon is, so because that can be a big tell for dragons. but you know that dragons are incredibly perceptive, incredibly durable, and their scales are tough. Most Hell Knights and adventurers in the past typically kill dragons either through outsmarting them, which is difficult but not impossible, certainly easier than overpowering them, or exploiting a weakness such as tricking them into harming themselves with their own breath. But that doesn't apply to all dragons, as typically through age and experience, dragons develop a resistance or an outright immunity to that. But so to the best of your knowledge, there's not necessarily a exploitable weakness, but basically they're going to bite and claw you, attempt to set you aflame, and depending on its age and experience, your best bet would likely be to outsmart it rather than try to outfight it, as dragons are considered one of the apex monsters of the entire world.
Okay. Do we have, like, judging from our interactions the previous night and how it has landed, is there a spot that we could pick out that we can guesstimate this thing is going to land, probably in the shallows?
You're not sure if it's going to land in the shallows again, given that it seems to be coming at you and you're farther away from the coast this time. But I will throw you a bone between I'll call it a warfare check. If you go deeper into the jungle, the dragon can't follow you, so it'll have to land somewhere on the shore, which is part of the reason Israel picked this spot. So you could, in theory, take the time it's going to take to reach you, and basically just like get deeper in the jungle where you can still see the shore, so that the dragon will land, and you basically have a sort of cover to. However, that would increase the odds of this fight escalating to a forest fire.
I mean, really, that's just the chance for the Hydra to get in on this fight, too, so we can have a three-way fight, right?
What do you guys want to do?
Has the dragon seen the rest of us?
Ivron, as you're waking up and casting your spell along with Gaheris, you can't tell if it's seen all of you specifically, but it definitely knows you guys as like a sort of vague collective are there. So it's definitely aware of your presence, but you're not sure if it's aware of these specific individuals or just it saw that there were people here.
Perhaps those of us that can should hide. Perhaps we can surprise him if he turns to fight.
I think that it is heading here for a fight. That the roar did not sound friendly or excited to see us.
It did say that it didn't want to see us again, or there would be nasty consequences, and we have decided to show our faces. So, all according to plan.
Ron will ready his greatsword, but he will also pull out his pipe and light it. And casually stand there on the beach, waiting.
Okay. Okay.
I wonder where Utaka is. Do you think that they ate them?
Could be. Either way, they're in a better situation than we are in now.
I think we'd know. I don't think Utaka could go down without a fight. It's probably sleeping somewhere.
The sunflower seeds.
Yes.
How fast do they grow?
As far as you're aware, once planted, these are magical plants, they will grow instantly. However, they cannot be moved once planted.
I reach into my bag, this is probably at the 3-minute mark, and I'm going to pull out all of the sunflower seeds that I have.
And do you recall how many? Or you just bought like a bag of them, right?
I think I bought just a bag of sunflower seeds.
Okay.
And then I bought a bit of the flowers as well.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to hand like a third of the bag to Griaz, a third of the bag to Ivron for the sunflowers, and then half of the bag of flowers to Israel and take the other half. These are magical. Once they planted, they should sprout up. The sunflowers do healing. The flowers, remind me, Matt, those were the damaging ones, right?
Either the sunflowers heal, and what was the other plant you're asking?
I had the pitcher plants.
Yeah, yes, and yes, they will attack anything, friend or foe, that comes near them.
These are like pitcher plants. They will attack anything that comes near them. So if we plant like a pitfall or just all in the general area and lures a dragon to it, perhaps. Does that will work?
I mean, I can control where the dragon lands if you want to set a trap. We're running out of time quick, but
That sounds wonderful. And I'm going to plant all my pitchers like where Griaz points.
Okay.
Or dictates. And then the sunflowers we can probably plant away from that.
Okay. All right, so you guys start to set up a combat zone. Griad's working with Gaharis on setting up strategic locations for the plants. Averon casting your spell. Israel, what are you doing?
Okay, so we are currently scrambling for trapping for the dragon that's heading for us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How far is it away?
At this point, it's closing in fast. That thing flies quick. By your estimate, at this point, you have probably somewhere in the ballpark of 2 or 3 minutes before it arrives.
Okay. What do I have in my stuff? Let me look real quick.
If only Melvin was here with his shotgun.
I mean, I have a rifle. Like,
I also have a shotgun.
It has a boomstick.
yeah, we got some stuff.
My gun is still at the Goldshine Investigation Agency.
No, I think I'm just gonna get ready for combat, get ready to roll initiative, I suppose.
Okay.
And probably try to find some cover.
Okay.
That's
Are you doing this to be stealthy or just to have cover?
Just to have cover as a ranged person, to have
Okay.
something between me and the dragon.
Okay, totally doable.
I actually, if Israel's going to like find a spot, I would like to cast darkness around her because she'll be able to see out of it.
That is true. Okay.
So I will obscure with magical darkness the area that Israel chooses and essentially give her the perfect kind of hunting blind.
Okay. Here, I'll switch us to a more tense music since you guys are prepping for a fight. All right. Griaz seeing Israel taking cover, I'm assuming pulling the mask down and the rifle out. You cast magical darkness, and it's really eerie, Griaz. As the darkness begins to obscure Israel, you can actually see the glowing eyes of the mask take longer to recede into the darkness. And you become a little more grateful that Israel's on your side. Utaka, you are having the best nap when you hear this deep, bellowing but muffled sound that kind of startles you awake, and you kind of look around in a bit of a daze, and you can see the reef is completely lifeless. And looking up, you can see this huge shadow over you, eclipsing over the water, before it looks in a direction and begins to fly off with a roar.
Okay, so that's a lot. A lot, and that thing can move way faster than me, like way so much faster than me. But I'll bet there's a trail of water from where it came from.
Make a survival check.
Okay. What is my survival? I never roll this. This is not a roll I do. This is an Israel thing. So, where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Alright. What does 15 get me?
Looking up, you can see some ripples and disruption of like almost rain from the water falling off the dragon's scales. And that thought occurs to you that it must have left a trail. And looking, you can indeed see like ripples and disruptions in the water, which you trace back to what appears to be the lower rim of that glass dome with the lights coming out of it. Specifically, you can see a lot of the obvious disruptions and shifting coming from one of the areas that is like almost cloaked by pipes and metal. But the dragon definitely came from that area.
All right. Was I able to get a long rest or no?
You have a short rest, but not a long rest.
Okay.
But you are no longer exhausted, at least.
Okay. Utaka's gonna watch the dragon leave and weigh his options and assume that he doesn't need to warn them that it's coming, or because it might be going somewhere else. You don't know. But yeah, he's gonna kind of roll his shoulders back and dive down and go through the detritus and weave towards the den.
Okay.
Sensible.
Those of you on the shore, the dragon's getting close now. So, just so I'm making sure I've got everything, Harris and everyone both cast aid on basically everyone. Griaz put Israel, who is taking cover in the tree line, in a thing of darkness to cloak them. And Griaz, or Gaharis, you've planted your sunflower plants. You've distributed the seeds among the party, but you've planted your share along, from the sounds of it, sort of the tree line, like towards the back line. And now you're planting the pitcher plants with Griaz's help towards the coast itself. Okay.
I'm prepping Earthbind for when the dragon is close enough and doesn't look like it's going to land.
Before it lands, I'd like to get on Naden.
Okay.
And if it's within roughly a minute of reaching, I'd like to preemptively summon a spiritual weapon.
Okay. Avron, with your pipe in one hand and blade in the other. Gaharis, summoning a spiritual blade and your sword and shield in hand. Israel, aiming your rifle, cloaked in the darkness, the mask's eyes illuminating what you can see, and Griaz, prepping your spell. Blood Maw arrives. Once Blood Maw's about 100 feet out from where all of you are, they swoop and land in the sand and start stomping their way up the hill, kicking up sand, both with their landing and with every step they take. And then once they're about 80 feet out, they begin to roar and yell from up the hill at all of you. You dare intrude on my territory again after I so mercifully spared you on your first offense?
You hear that, brother? It was mercy.
So generous to show mercy. Far more than I would expect from a common brigand.
Is this truly how a king treats those that cross his land? Without maliciousness?
Give me my water back, you fucking nerd.
I treat those I please, however I please. But
How
I
far
would be
away
willing.
is the dragon?
At this point, they are 60 feet and closing.
Cool. I'm gonna aim for its eye.
I was about to say,
How
throw a
clear
javelin?
is my shot at its face?
Do you want to specifically aim for the eye?
I want to specifically aim for the face.
All right. Okay. In that case, make an attack roll.
Cool. And let's look here. Let's look. Since I do have it is well within any range that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might just go with the rifle because I feel like a firearm might have a better chance of piercing this thing.
Fair.
I don't
Okay.
know. Because I got a fancy scope too. So we'll try with that. We'll try.
Go for it.
Cool. Nice. 18 plus 4 is 22.
That is a hit. Roll for damage.
Get my d10s. Do. Where are you? Regular d10s. There you go. Cool. That is 9 plus 4. I can count 13. With just, I guess, regular firearm ammunition.
Okay. 13 you said, just so I can note it down. Okay. Let me go ahead and get the battle stuff pulled up. That much left. Okay. All of you can hear this come from the tree line as the bullet whizzes past all of you and impacts Blood Maw, directly scraping across their temple and spurting scales all over the sand as they give a deep roar as they stomp backwards. And Gaharis, you said you wanted to throw a javelin?
Yeah. I've had this javelin since level 1 and never thrown it.
Chuck your
this
javelin.
This is my moment. Alright. That is a nat 20 for a 27.
And it is within range for a javelin, right?
30, 60 feet?
So it's 60 feet out, so you would have disadvantage.
Okay, then not a nat 20. That is a 16 plus 7.
That still hits, though. Yeah, that hits. Roll for damage.
It's still dark out?
Yes, at this point it is night.
Nighttime? Okay, cool.
Javelin. What do they even do for damage? Nobody knows. 1d6 plus 4. That is 4.
Now you know.
Now I know. 10 damage.
Okay, good damage rolls, good damage rolls. Gaharis, as they're stumbling back from Israel's shot, you reel back and chuck your javelin, and it soars through the air before directly impacting in the skull, and it gives another roar as it waves its head side to side in anger, fury, and pain. And finally, it rights its stance and cranes its head up to look at all of you that it can see. And I will give you one final chance to enjoy my mercy.
I want to cast Daylight.
Okay.
Just on like a point above. We haven't been able to see this dragon clearly yet. We're still on.
Yeah, it has been avoiding bright lights.
I'm gonna put it in literal daylight. So just make a little mini sun, disco ball sun.
Okay. Yep, sheds bright light. Okay. Okay, just double checking something.
Kobolds.
Griaz, you hold out your hand and cast your spell, and all of you actually have to kind of blink a little bit as the dragon's eyes are already like glowing and blinding, but Griaz basically puts the like almost flashbangs the entire beach with this sort of magical mini sun that illuminates the entire battlefield. And the dragon kind of pauses for a moment and looks up at the ball of sun before giving a roar and looking around, seeming almost in a panic. And it is furious, but at this point it seems less angry at you and more like it's trying to find a way out.
What do we see? Is this a red dragon? Is
Make a
there
perception
anything off
check.
about it? Okay.
Ivron would like to channel divinity now that it's close.
Okay. Let me pull that up. I always forget what it does.
Well, his channel divinity is creating a sacred weapon. So.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, he has two, but in this case, he's going to make his great sword a sacred weapon, which makes it emit bright light and will do additional radiant damage.
Okay. And Griaz, what'd you get on perception?
A 22.
Griaz, being the perceptive lad that you are, you start to notice as it's like shifting and panicking, its movements are odd. They're stilted and like it's familiar to you in a way you can't recall right away, but after thinking on it for a brief second as you take it in, you realize its movements are stilted and stiff in the same way those strange beings you encountered in Charles T. Cheddar's were. Its movements are robotic and mechanical. Even its jaw movement when it roars, its jaw just comes down and the roar sound emits before the jaw closes again. Its movements are stiff, robotic, and artificial.
Y'all, that's a fucking fake.
And you say this out loud?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How dare you! I shall show you my real power. And again, Griaz, now that you're looking for it, it's obvious. It literally looks at you, and you can see its eyes are literally like bright lights that are just welded into the top of the frame. And that explains why its eyes were so unnaturally bright.
This is kind of sad.
Does it have any entrances or any doors to it? If it's a fake?
I mean, probably. I mean, everything. Well, if you think about it, every living thing has an entrance and an exit.
First.
Is that this fair?
Wait, where's Utaka? God damn it. Do any of you know Shatter?
No, no, call lightning though, and electricity
That
tends to
probably
travel through
work.
stuff. Yeah.
Sword?
Yeah. Yeah. Big sword, big whack.
Is that all I need to hear?
Hold on.
Go for it. You're doing great,
something.
sweetie, she calls from the tree line.
Yeah, it's lightning. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna charge this thing at this point.
All right. As the now revealed to be mechanical robotic dragon enters into a combat stance, seeming at this point that it knows it's not going to escape and it's going to have to fight its way out, it meets your charge. And we're going to take a break.
All right. So let's say it's 9:46. We'll be back in 14 minutes. Seems reasonable, right? 10 minutes, 14 minutes, but we'll see. I'm never honest with chat when I say we're going to take a break, so we'll be back soon. That's all I'm going to give
We'll be
you.
back when we're back.
Maybe kobolds were there the whole time. The theory still stands.
I'm keeping up the trend. I will never have a real dragon in my campaigns. Ever.
All right, well, we'll see you all soon. Don't go anywhere. Get some water, get some snacks, and we'll be right back with dragon attacks.
Oh my
Hi,
god, it's a
everybody, we're
giant
back.
fish tank. There are fish in there. There's just
Oh,
like water in it.
sentient fish.
Yeah, or some nonsense for sure. It's not powered by kobolds, or if it is powered by kobolds, it's definitely aquatic kobolds that are sitting there suspended in a bunch of water inside the dragon.
It's clearly kobolds that have been polymorphed by an evil wizard into fish, but retained their sentience. And
There is a lich
with
operating
their
nearby.
tiny fish
Exactly.
brains and fish fins, they made this dragon.
Yeah, exactly. It's to fight the lich. For sure.
That would explain why they're patrolling Jor and seem so hostile.
Precisely. We've done it.
Now we just
We've
have to kill a
connected
lich.
it.
And a hydra. And a lycanthrope.
I've connected it. You haven't connected shit. Shut up.
6
Right.
episodes from now, when we're coming back to Jor with like 9 heads and just dragging bodies behind us, we're like, we did it. All your problems solved. Give us your money.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. But yeah, let me know when you guys are good. I'm
Yeah.
good to go.
I'm ready. We're back. We're back. We're live. I don't know. I'm just gonna wait until.
Hurt me.
I'm just gonna
All
wait.
right. In that case, as the dragon charges, you guys' traps and ambush is laid, and Utaka readies to explore the dome. I would like everyone who present on the beach to roll initiative.
Remember to left click your token and then click initiative and roll 20. But also, there we go. We've got the throne order open.
That is
Our rolls are not well. Not
I
going well.
did roll with my dice, so this is not the real roll, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
I can edit it.
Yeah,
On
my
round
real
co-
roll is 22 for initiative.
All right.
on round calculation. Do I just put the initiative on that?
For round count, no, you don't have to do anything.
Well, no, because I rolled with my physical dice, but so I can.
I can roll something real quick for the dragon, and then you just tell me what you rolled.
Yeah, I got a 15 on initiative in total.
That's better than my nat 1.
17 for me, Graham.
17? Alright, I have to re-roll as well because I have advantage on initiative. Well, 13 it is, because that was going to be a 9. And then Utaka, do you want me... Is Utaka going to be on the battle map, do you think?
Yeah, or no, Utaka's like miles out in the water.
Okay.
But that means Utaka will get the chance to explore the dome while the fight's going on. Basically, after the fight, we'll cut to Utaka, and Utaka will get some solo time for a little bit.
I do love the dichotomy between Dungeons and Dragons and then Bioshock. That's
you know what I just realized?
down there. It's gonna be
This
good.
is literally Dungeons and Dragons. Utaka's going to find a dungeon, and you guys are fighting a dragon.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Don't call
Final-
this thing a
final
dragon.
statement.
I've been betrayed and lied to before.
Graham, I hope I dream to DM for you in this group for like many, many years, and you will never fight a real dragon at my table.
See, that's where you're wrong, because in the final episode, when my egg is hatched, I'm gonna train it to be a villain that I fight in a later campaign.
Just so you can fight a dragon. Okay, is that everyone's initiative and stuff sorted?
As they say, I am inevitable.
Okay, the battle begins. Israel, the colossal mechanical dragon, for now we'll call him the colossal automaton, stands before you. You are cloaked in darkness, your rifle is trained. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna shoot it again
All right, roll to hit.
because it seemed to work quite well the last time. Ooh, nice. That is a 17 plus. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go for an Eldritch Blast this time. So this isn't a normal bullet. This is gonna magical beam. So that's plus 8. So that's a 25 to hit.
Okay, that is a hit. Roll for damage.
Sweet. Blast it with 10 plus 15 force damage.
Okay. Okay. That is a solid hit. Nice job. Is that it for your turn?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna call that it.
Israel, you take aim again, and this time firing an eldritch bullet from the gun. It weaves through the air and perfectly locks in, curving to hit the dragon in the side of the neck. And it stumbles and roars in anguish. And you all start to notice, again, now that you're all looking for it, and with Griaz's daylight making it pretty obvious, more and more signs of it obviously being fake. While scales and bits of metal do fly off when the Eldritch Blast makes impact, you don't see any blood. That's the end of your turn. So, Griaz, you're up. Averon on deck.
Okay. Let me double check the range on this spell. Griaz's going to move a little bit closer anyway, but range. Oh, perfect. Okay. So Griaz is going to channel a little bit, since Utaka isn't there, a little bit of Utaka's energy. So his eyes will kind of go white and his hands will spread out. And he is going to cast Tidal Wave and summon up the water from behind the dragon that will crash down on it. So summon up Tidal Wave. It is 30 feet long, 10 feet wide, 10 feet tall. Need a dex saving throw from Automa Dragon.
Can do. Dex save.
DC 14.
All right. And it does make it.
Okay, it is not knocked prone. It does take, however, what is that? It's 14, 18, 20 points of bludgeoning damage.
Nice. Okay.
Or I'm sorry, it takes, first time I've ever used the spell. So on a failed save, creature takes 48. On a successful, it takes half as much. So it takes 10.
Okay.
But it is now in water. The
Okay.
water has extended to cover its feet. And so any flames in that area would be extinguished.
Okay, noted. As the tidal wave surges and crashes into the back of the colossal automaton, it actually stumbles and stutters and kind of sways and looks back to see the water still lapping at its heels, and gives another roar that, now that you're listening to the roar up close and consistently, also sounds somewhat hollow and echoey, almost like a recording of a roar rather than a true one. That the end of your turn, Grias?
Then he is going to move right here behind this boulder and use bonus action hide.
All right, make me a stealth check. Junior will tag along with you.
Yeah, he's staying in the backpack because it's cold.
Yeah, he's cold.
Let's see, 17 plus 6 is 23.
Okay, noted.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's a plus 9. That's 26.
All right, noted. Okay. As the dragon is recovering from the tidal wave, you tuck and roll behind the boulder, and taking a slight chance to peek, the dragon does not appear to have seen your movement. Ivron, you're up, and Gaharis, you will go after the dragon.
Ivron is going to mount Yao and have Yao dash to the dragon, which I believe is 60 feet. So he should be right up in this mechanical dragon space.
Okay, give me just a hot sec, so I have Yao's stats pulled up. I'm almost positive he can make it, but just since you're going to be mounting him, so I want to have his stats at the ready.
Yeah, appreciate that.
In the meantime, but again, I'm almost positive he can do it. So while I'm pulling up his stats, what do you want to do once Yao reaches him?
Well, Ivron's already having his sacred weapon greatsword. He's just gonna hit it for multiple swings.
Okay. And yes, Yao can absolutely reach him. Honestly, if he could move 10 feet further, he wouldn't have even had to have dashed. All right, so Yao bounding down the hill over the sands, slides beneath the massive dragon's mechanical legs as you start hacking and slashing at the legs you can reach. Roll to hit.
All right. 24 for the first and 22 for the second.
Yeah, those hit.
Awesome. Swinging damage for the first attack is 12. Second is great weapon fighting. I could just reroll that. It's 4. And he also is going to add 2 smites on each hit. So there's an additional 12 plus 10, 22. So 22 radiant damage, 16 slashing damage. And as a bonus action, he will use Thunderous Smite, which is 6 thunder damage, and he needs to make a strength saving throw.
All right, how much damage, sorry?
6 thunder damage.
Okay. You guys are laying into this automaton hard. Note to self, do not steal this party's water skins. They take it deeply personally. All right, it succeeds the save?
The 16 would be the strength saving throw, so.
Yeah, it was a 20, and that's without modifiers,
Oh, okay.
All right.
So yeah, other than that, that's all Ron can do. I'm not sure what Yao what his are, but if he wants to attack, I'm not going to tell him no. Or no, he does. So that would be his action.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any bonus actions that he can do here, so yeah, he'll wait for now.
Right.
However, I will say, Avron, as you're hacking at the legs, you can see the creature's like kind of stumbling over you. So you take the opportunity to reach up and slash at its belly. And as it does so, you expect to be met with a familiar waterfall of gore, but instead just the screech of metal on metal and nothing else. However, as you cleave a hole in the dragon's stomach, looking up, you can just make out, you can actually see through the hole up to where you presume its spine to be before the hole is suddenly forced shut, and you can hear some kind of babble from inside of it. You hear voices from within the dragon yelling at each other, presumably trying to keep damage as confined as they can. What languages do you speak?
Ron speaks Celestial, Elvish, and Infernal.
You do not understand what's being said, but you hear this deep, bassy tongue being spoken as you can actually hear someone yelling at presumably others, and then the hole that you created is pulled shut, and you can see some fire as they're presumably welding it. And as these repairs are being made, the voice stops, and then you can see the dragon and hear it roar again.
Is it so? I only see 2 people in there.
Well, you only heard you heard a single voice, and then some others. By your count, you at least heard 5 or so people, but there could have been more. Those are just the number of distinct voices you could make out.
I think Ron would shout out, I hear 5 in there, just to the rest of the party for their awareness. But yeah, that's Ron's turn.
Okay. It is now the dragon's turn. The dragon, looking around, and as you give this shout, the dragon turns its attention underneath it to you, Ivron. And given that Griaz just put it in an unfortunate situation vis-a-vis the water, it's not going to breathe fire on you as it would have hoped. It is instead going to bite and claw at you. I have your AC noted. Okay. Wait.
Listen, if there's one thing Griaz does well, he spits on his friend's feet and he gets them wet. Yeah.
All right, he hits you with the bite, he hits you with the claw, and hits you with the other claw. So all 3 of these attacks are going to hit. The bite attack hits you, Ivron. Need to find my D10. Where's my D10? There. No, that's my D12. There's my D10. Boop. Okay. And then a D6. Ivron, as you see the dragon's head tilt and kind of cock as it looks down at you, it lunges at you as it kind of leaps away to both drag its head closer to you while also getting you out from under it. And as you're kind of forced back into the bright light, you can feel its fangs lock around you. You take 26 piercing damage and an additional 2 fire damage. And I will say, Ivron, now that you're close to its mouth, you can hear it again, like almost echoing out from its throat, a bunch of voices, all in like rapid communication and with each other. And some are just making like guttural, like presumably from the sounds of it, noises of effort, as it sounds like they're moving stuff around. As the dragon wrestles with you, it's going to come in with its claws, which also hit. As a claw rakes up your back, you take 13 slashing damage. And from the second claw attack, an additional 17. You still up? Okay. As the creature, Gaharis, you watch as the dragon literally picks your brother up in its mouth and starts clawing at his back, like trying to tear Ivron apart like a chew toy, and spraying Ivron's blood all over the sand as it does so, wrestling with it less like a dignified, regal, draconic creature and more like a rabid animal. However, that is the end of the dragon's turn. Gaharis, taking in this grisly sight, you're up. Israel on deck. However, before you, Israel, the plants will all perform their actions.
All right. So I kick my knees into Naden and begin a charge. Naden and I will move 60 feet.
Okay.
Naden is going to use their hooves.
You are within the dragon's... well, actually, your size category is small, so you can move within his bubble. So go ahead. Sorry about that.
Naden does a stompy stomp for... but rolled a 14.
To hit?
Yeah.
That's a miss, I'm afraid.
That is fine. Then, as a bonus action, I'm going to move my spiritual weapon 20 feet closer. And for my action, seeing Ivron being shaken like a rag doll and hearing him say 5, I am going to draw... Well, I already have my sword out, the sword blade of the Fearless, and it begins to kind of swirl with that mist like we saw. I'd like to use its special function that once per day, I want to give off my Aura of Fear, so all creatures within 30 feet of me have to make a Wisdom saving throw, DC 15. And for any creature that fails, I get to roll a d6 to determine their behavior on their turn. So I assume that would affect everyone inside it as well.
Indeed, it would.
Ivron is the only other person, but Ivron, because I'm staying next to you, you have a +5 to your Wisdom saving throw.
All right, Wisdom save of 15, Ivron, as well as... Now, I'm going to freely say, I don't have the dice to roll for everything in there, so I'm going to roll just a few times and use that to kind of give a good sense.
That's fair. In Roll20, you can do 1d20, and then plus, and just spam roll it with the icon if you'd like.
I'm going to freely say, without revealing the exact number, the amount I would need to roll if I rolled for every individual, and that dragon might crash the game.
That's fair. Okay.
What was the save?
It is a
Wisdom
save.
15.
Okay. Ivron doesn't have to roll, but he beat it.
Okay.
With Gaharis standing near him, he doesn't even have to roll.
Even if you rolled as terribly as you could, you'd still succeed.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a failure from them. Failure from them. Success from them. Failure from them. And failure from them. Okay.
All right. Since you did it in four groups failed, I'm gonna roll 4d6,
yeah,
1d6 for each to determine
Go
what they
for it.
do on their turn. For group number 1, they drop prone, curl into the fetal position, and are frightened. For group 2, they become paralyzed. For group 3, they become frightened. And for group 4, they become paralyzed.
Okay.
There's now one group of things driving this thing. The rest are all either standing shock still or in the fetal position screaming.
Numerically, how many things are scared of me right now? Because I get a free attack for every scared individual. I'm just saying.
Hang on, I actually have to do some math. Hold on. Because this is a lot. This is a lot of things. Hang on, I gotta do some math. You're gonna fucking love this. This is what the Blade of the Fearless was meant for.
This is
Beautiful. Sheer beauty. I told him to go whack it really, really hard.
And
really
by
hard.
God!
He did.
Sword go burr.
Okay, so yeah. So as the dark energy of Nightmare begins to almost absorb into your blade, you actually get a good sense of how many things you just terrified into a state of fear. And that is in total. Hang on, I gotta do some math. And then multiply that by the 4 groups that failed. Harris, by your metric, there are currently 1,880 things that are frightened of you.
All right. Feasibly, would I be able to stab through the metal with this blade to hit anyone? Knowing that they are afraid and not
Yeah.
moving.
I will say, given that they are afraid and many of them are prone, I will say yes. However, given that you are trying to stab through it to hit to something else, that would cancel out the advantage you'd get from that. So basically, you can make a flat roll to attempt to start killing the things inside.
That's fair. Anything I hit that's paralyzed is an instant crit.
And I'm going to freely say, they're not surviving if you hit them.
I'm not going to try and kill them.
All right, so you...
It's a here's Johnny moment. It's here's Gaharis.
It's a we're using this as a can opener moment.
I am
We're
going
gonna
to...
So you're going to try and
dragon.
carve the dragon open to get to the things inside.
Oh, yeah, and then I'm going to walk into it with my 30 feet of movement, moving off Naden, while all these things are cowering in fear of me.
You know what? That's creative. I like it. Sure.
We love to see it.
Make an attack roll flat, and if you hit, I will let you do this.
You know what? I'm going to burn my last chat 20. I don't even care.
You did it. You drained his last chat 20.
All of you watch as Gaharis. You all watch as Gaharis waves their Blade of the Fearless in the air, their gift from Nightmare that they have not made too much use of yet, and the dragon suddenly goes still. And its head falls limp, and its left wing goes limp. Its tail, and Avron, you actually have to drag Yao, kind of like pull at Yao as the whole torso comes down and fall. The only thing of it that still seems to be active is the rightmost wing, which is still moving and flapping, trying to get it into the air, but it just can't, with the rest of its weight just dead weighting. And all of you can hear this cacophony of thousands of terrified souls from within the dragon. As Gaharis, you stand up on Naden kind of balancing to hold you steady, and start to carve through the metal dragon scales. And Ivron, standing closest, are able to see this the most clearly. As Gaharis pulls away at the scale armor, you see a hollow inside, as you had seen, and inside, you're carving. I'm gonna say you're carving at the torso. That would be easiest for you to reach. Inside the torso are hundreds, just in this long. You know those like rowing parts of old long ships, like where it would just be that long hallway with everyone sitting down rowing. You basically see that arrangement of Gaheris at a quick head count, easily over 400 goblins.
Hello, my name is Gaheris Nervos, and I will accept your unconditional surrender right now.
We surrendered! Don't hurt us!
And that's my turn. I've got nothing left.
Israel?
1,800 goblins. Dragon.
No, if you want the exact number, if you're curious, there are 2,350 goblins inside this dragon. The ones controlling the right wing were not frightened.
Holy shit. So many goblins.
Man, this is one of those moments where I'm like, if I blow this dragon up from the inside, how much XP is 1,800 goblins worth? Is that a war crime?
If we find
It's
someone,
absolutely a war crime.
we
No
just
ifs,
got-
ands, or buts about that. That is a war crime. I'm just gonna base that off of the whole like mustard gas thing where you can just eliminate a similar amount of people in one strike. Yeah, I'm gonna say probably a war
They
crime.
just call that, call lightning, where Utaka's from.
I just saw Jeremy send chat.
It's okay, guys.
How many goblins?
You handled the adult.
2,350 goblins, 1,800 of which are feared / paralyzed. The rest of them
Sorry.
are
One more time,
operational.
so I get the number. How many?
There are total
2,350.
2,350 goblins. However, there are 1,880 that are frightened / paralyzed right now.
Is let's see. Well, it's over the daily budget of XP, but roughly 14,000 XP.
Sounds like a level up to me.
Yeah, I will freely admit, this was going to be a boss fight for a later quest that you guys just kind of did this.
Hey, it's not over. It's not over yet. That fear probably might only last one turn until they.
That's fair. But yes, at the moment they seem to be surrendering. It's real.
The smartest.
You
choice.
can't see the What's that?
The smartest choice for them.
Israel, looking through your scope, you're just confused. You can't see how many goblins Gaheris is seeing, but you can see Gaheris rip open the like chest plate of this dragon, and you can just see a bunch of goblins like putting up their hands.
Except for the ones that are paralyzed. They're probably just like.
Well, yeah, but the ones you can see are
Yeah,
just
yeah.
frightened.
Oh god.
You specifically, if you're curious, you paralyze the ones in the tail and in the left wing.
Man,
Yeah,
Nightmare
I think-
is so proud of me right now.
No, I'm sorry. It's 470,000.
Oh.
407. Yeah, but that's because it's multiplied by 4. So base XP is going to be 170,500. But yeah, 470,000 for the multiplication of goblins. So we should be demigods by now.
Absolutely a war crime and probably like 3 level ups.
Hey, you don't level up without a few war crimes.
Exactly. That's what modify memory is for.
I will say,
Can't make an omelet without breaking a few Geneva conventions. You know what I mean?
I will say, just as a clarification, I'm legitimately not at all upset by this. I chose to give the dragon the mental stats of the goblins that were piloting it. It would have resisted the fear otherwise, but I thought it was more reasonable this way.
You're correct, because it doesn't make any sense that something that looks like a dragon has dragon mental stats when it's piloted by goblins.
So just so in case anyone's worried, I'm legitimately not at all upset by this outcome, and Graham, I'm so proud of you for this use of
I mean,
By
relatable
the
battle's
focus.
kind
over.
of
If they all
fodder
save that
that's
turn, then
inhabiting
this
it.
thing's gonna go back up, I think. I don't
I'm
know if I
just
can sword
surprised.
fight 2,350 goblins.
I think you could.
Don't worry, I can electrocute them. They're all in the water now.
Yeah, so speaking of Israel, top of the round. Oh, wait, before I look at the plants.
Oh yeah.
So first, I'm gonna say the pitcher plants start to try and bite at it. Those that can reach him, anyway. What's their range? This is I'm losing my mind. Sorry. I need to focus. Okay. Three actually. Or no, that's Gaheris' token. 2 of the pitcher plants can reach the dragon, so they're gonna roll. I'll roll for them. Both pitcher plants that can reach miss, I'm afraid. That's tough metal for a plant to bite through. The sunflowers, let me check their range on their healing to see. I mean, Israel's not injured, but I also need to check if they can do overheal or anything. Heal sounds within. It's within 5 feet, so none of the sunflowers are within range to heal anyone. Let me move Yao down here, by the way. So yeah, the plants. That's it for the plants. All right, sorry about that. Israel, you are now up. Griaz on deck. Israel, again, you could just see through the scope of your rifle all of that.
Yeah, so, based on what I'm seeing, I am probably gonna just, take some of my movement, step out of the darkness with the rifle at rest, and call out, nobody move unless you want to be electrocuted. Follow our orders and no one has to get hurt.
All right, make an intimidation check, and because most of them are frightened, I'll give you advantage.
Cool. I don't know if Fey Presence gives me a bonus on the roll, but it would have given me advantage, so.
Well, you would have to use Fey Presence to...
Precisely, but I have that, so I could absolutely do that. You know, why not? There's no reason not to.
Okay, noted.
Oh no, that would make them make a whiz saving throw or listen to me. They'd be frightened, but they're already frightened, so I don't need that.
Okay. I'll flavor it with some Fey Presence, though.
Cool. You're the best, Matt.
Thank you.
That is 15. Ooh, dirty 20.
Okay.
She is still wearing her funky little mask, of course.
Oh, goblins, your mental stats are so bad. Israel, as you give this order, Gaheris, you can see the dragons, the goblins with their hands in the air just nodding, and you all watch as the right wing that's still flapping stops and then goes limp as well. And Gaheris, you can see hundreds more goblins clamber into the torso part of the dragon with their hands up in the air. As they essentially just start the ones that can move start clown carring into the torso. Again, hands in the air, they don't want to get hurt. Is that the end of your turn, Israel?
Oh, and hand over our stuff.
Okay. That's the end of your turn?
That is now the end of my turn, yeah.
Okay. Griaz, you're up. Averon on deck.
Griaz's going to use his movement plus just a little bit of bonus dash to get up to where the opening is. And then in Goblin, he's just going to say, what the fuck you think you're all doing? Didn't your mama teach you any better? And he is going to cast Stinking Cloud and then just close up the hole that Gaheris had opened. If that's fine for one turn. I know it's kind of like 2 actions, but
well, how would you go about closing it?
Gaheris basically just like pried it open. He's gonna, I guess, pry it.
Oh, like just kind of shove it back into place.
Yeah.
You know what? Make me a strength check, and if you do good enough, I'll let that fly. This is 100% a war crime. This is not,
this is chemical warfare. It's in 18.
Just yell say
yeah, that'll do it. Gaheris, you're the one opening the hole. Do you allow Griaz to do this without resistance?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to put on some sillier combat music.
No, after you.
Yeah, no.
Get some Benny Hill in there, you know.
So he's aiming the Stinking Cloud like far enough back, and it does. I mean, it goes around corners and everything. So even like after the hole is closed, the dragon mouth like might be spewing a little bit of stink, but Yeah, I mean, if you want, you can roll 2,000 plus con saves.
I don't want to do that. I'll
right.
roll for each section like I had before.
Yeah. On a fail, they spend their action retching and reeling.
Okay. That's a con save, right?
It's con save 14.
Okay. Nope. Griaz, as you aim your stinking cloud and Garrus, with an almost like after you gesture, you with your bugbear strength pry, and you can see several goblins running for the exit before you shut it.
Smack their hands away.
Yeah, and
you stay inside your fart dragon.
And you can hear them clawing at the inside of the dragon, and you can hear them. They're outright just talking in common at this point now, as you can hear echoing from inside. Open the mouth! Open the mouth! But the ones in the head are the ones that are prone in the fetal position, so they cannot. So with that in mind, you all kind of step back as the dragon, now completely limp and motionless. If it wasn't for the screaming and gagging you hear from within, you would suspect it to be dead if it was a real dragon, other than the slight bit of green smoke trilling out from between the spaces of its teeth. Between the all failed con saves and the several nat ones, I will make one final set of rolls to see if they can get over the fear, but if not, I'm going to say this is a complete victory. If they can't recover from fear on their next turn cycle, they're just done. And you guys have done a number on the suit itself anyway. Goblin wisdom is terrible.
To be honest, they probably have a better chance attacking us as the full swarm of 2,000
Yeah, 1,000
outside of
goblins
the
with
dragon.
knives, they would win.
Yeah, right? Exactly. But no, they're stuck in the dragon.
Okay, that's actually decent. It looks like the battle will continue, and enough of them manage to will get over some of the fear on their next turn. Although they all will still be retching, but they're at least no longer frightened. With that said, anything else on your turn, Griaz? You have sufficiently poisoned, you have poisoned over 2,000 individuals.
I guess, no, he's already used his bonus action and everything. Now he's just
that enough for one day?
I can't even tell you. Fucking goblins. I mean, like, give all goblin lords bad. Fucking, what, 2,000 of them said that? Nope.
I'm wondering, how do they all fit? Like, I know it's large, but is it really that big?
And they think Sting Cloud's bad. Can you imagine how bad it smells in there? Just regular goblins. Regular goblin body odor. It ain't great.
Did they look like regular goblins or like aquatic goblins?
Make me a nature check.
Sure. That is a 17.
They look like regular goblins as far as you can tell.
Oh, okay.
What are they doing in the bottom of the bay?
Or I'm
In
saying
the dragon?
Well, I'm hoping we can at least have a moment while they're getting stinky, and we can at least discuss what we're going to do next. Because one way or another, they're being assholes. Maybe they got a reason.
They're definitely on the... I think the bigger thing I'm concerned about now is, are they part of the Bluefield Alliance? Is this actually a contingent?
They did invoke Lady Onvile's name.
That is true. They could
Yeah, but
also
they're
be,
goblins.
They also could
But
be
Ebron did
survivors
determine
from
that they're
Augur.
good.
They could be from Augur. Ivran will not. Yeah. Hey, do you guys want to keep fighting us, or can we talk in a civilized manner now?
Think.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
Can we talk?
They'll take what they can get.
Yeah.
Even the ones they're getting over their fear now, but the stinkiness is still a thing.
I mean, they with surrender, there's no take backsies.
No, yeah, I'm just
they formally surrendered.
because again, you guys were messing up the suit itself pretty bad too.
And we didn't even get
20
started.
seconds.
We weren't even
Vomit
at our
for
full
yes,
power.
cry for no.
Ron, it takes a little bit for the gagging, the screaming, the crying, and yelling to stop, but after a while, you kind of and make your offer, and after a moment, the thing that Griaz had forced shut is pushed open by what you can see to be a single yellow tinted goblin with greasy black hair and goggles. And they kind of look you up and down and like kind of cowering a little bit behind the metal. And you can see, guys can get a whiff of what it smells like in there. And with Griaz and the goblins combined, it's rank. But the goblin seems completely unperturbed and stares at you for a moment, Ivron, before. Will any of us be harmed in negotiations?
Ron looks at Harris.
Yes, I believe it is time to discuss the negotiations of your surrender.
The metal is pried shut, and you can hear some like talking in presumably Goblin before the door quote unquote is forced open again. And very well. Remove your foul magic from our construct, and we will negotiate as equals.
Alright, then, as equals, I would like all of you to come out of the suit, so we can speak face to face.
Remove your magic first.
That ain't how it works. It's gonna be stinky in there. You might as well get out.
Many of my crew are still unable to be moved from their current positions.
Are you incapable of carrying them? There's like so many of you in there.
If it would help, I can help carry some.
The goblin kind of shakes their head and just, fine, back away from the suit. We'll disembark. And he pries the metal shut. And you guys have negotiated a peaceful solution with the
victory.
colossal dragon suit. This is a... What's up?
Small question.
Go for it.
The scales and such, are they real dragon scale on the outside?
Make an nature check. Just kind of looking over the suit while...
Yeah, while they're busy.
Yeah, while they're gathering up their terrified comrades and
While
whatnot.
Ivron and Geharris draft another peace treaty, the second of which in a week.
Okay, so that's an 18.
Looking over it, it actually does appear to be real, if somewhat old, dragon scales. It looks like they basically took shedded dragon scales and just essentially glued them to the chassis of this machine.
She starts pondering, like, how can I make this look real so that we get the money for a real dragon kill?
Ooh,
So she's just standing there looking very thoughtfully at the scales.
Selling dragon scales might make more money even then.
It takes several minutes, but Geharris, unless you're enforcing it, yeah, the goblins do start overcoming the fear. And Griaz, are you maintaining concentration on the stinking cloud?
I don't even think it's a concentration.
Oh, does it just come and go? Okay.
Oh no, it is concentration. I'm sorry. Yes. Then yeah, it can't be dispersed except for by a wind. But yeah, until they're all out, he'll stink them out.
Okay. You can hear several goblins continuing to gag, and you actually hear a few actually vomit. But eventually the dragon starts to move again, just the upper half as it crouches down and hangs its jaw open. And you can see its tongue is actually metallic as the tongue lolls out to form almost a bridge. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The goblins begin a dignified-ish march. Some of them still have vomit around their mouths and their eyes are stained with tears and like reddened, but they are maintaining their dignity as they sing an augur march as they begin to trek, and you find yourselves all surrounded by 2,350 goblins.
This is wonderful. I'm so glad that you all came out of the suit to negotiate. Firstly, I suppose, as you are quite dignified in your march, announce your rank and, position.
The goblin approaches you and gives a very proud stance, although, again, traces of vomit and tears, but gives you a bow with again to his credit, a legitimate degree of cordiality, and I am Goblin 1. We are from the Augur Bowman Corps.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. We are quite well aware of the Olger Bowman. We have many a friend within your ranks that were unfortunately lost when the Cult of Red Sight attacked the city.
We lost many that day.
That is what we have heard. It is our inevitable goal to assist either in retaking the city or in eliminating the threat that took the city from you. Gosh, what is the name of that bowman that we were friends with? I am
Gensai, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jinsai.
Jensai.
Jensai.
Are you acquainted with Jensai?
Oh yes, he and I are the best of friends.
Then you would know that he speaks very highly of me and my party.
Yes.
So, let us get down to business. What was your ultimate goal in this neck of the woods? After all, the Bluefield Alliance has already taken the city.
The goblin, which I'll say this goblin is a brown tinted one with gleaming red eyes, and again a pair of goggles strung up on their head of greasy black hair. And their face is kind of almost caved, like they rammed into something and it never quite looked the same afterwards. And the goblin hesitates for a moment, and after some consideration, we have a colony to feed, and goblins would be met with hostility if we tried to negotiate peacefully or tried to take it ourselves. We thought, if using this method, that we could have the food to feed our colony without any lives needing to be lost if people simply were intimidated by the visage of a dragon and gave up their things willingly. No bloodshed, no one gets hurt. That was the plan, anyway.
Were you not anticipating the excessive bounties for killing a dragon that would begin circulating? They offered us 18,000 gold to kill you.
You can see several goblins in the crowd immediately begin to like salivate, and you can even hear a few start to converse with each other, like, "Could we turn in the suit?"
I will look to Ivron, like, given that brother look of, like, do we split the bounty with them so they can pay and feed their families, but we still get money?
Where is your colony exactly, Goblin 1?
Just one is fine. And our colony has recently relocated beneath the bay. We found an old structure down there that we took over.
An old structure.
Indeed, it must be at least from the Second Age, perhaps even earlier from the looks of things.
Have you investigated all of it, or?
Of course, that's actually where we found this. It's a remarkable bit of engineering, isn't it? We figured out how to pilot it, although it takes far more of us than it would take of people. But once we got it working and realized it could get us in and out of the city, and it would be a way to bloodlessly acquire resources we need for the colony, thought it was worth a shot.
So is Utaka finding an empty, like, sanctuary, or are there goblins down there?
We'll have to see when we get to Utaka.
I want to know. I want to cut there.
Okay. Utaka. As you swim your way towards the trail that the dragon left in its wake, while your party readies for and battles the dragon on shore, you can hear distant roars, and you can even hear the occasional bit of gunfire from Israel as you start swimming your way. The sound beginning to get more and more muffled as you get deeper and deeper before it is completely silent. However, there is this murmur of activity from the structure itself. As you follow to the end of the trail of the red dragon, you find nestled among this mess of pipes and metal bits that you can't imagine what they're meant to do, you can see what appears to be a massive steel door with what appears to be a one of those like vault cranks of some kind on the outside of it, low to the ground, but otherwise accessible. And looking up, this dome is huge, easily the height of a city in and of itself, and the width of at least a smaller one. This dome is massive, and you're starting to see how a dragon could comfortably live in there, whatever it is. As you see this massive steel door, and the large but built for hands of your size crank at the bottom of the steel, what would you like to do as you approach the dome?
And this is like all the way closed, so it was closed after the dragon emerged?
Looks like it. This is where the trail of the dragon ends, so it looks like it had to come from here, and it either automatically shut behind it or someone shut it behind it. Or perhaps the dragon shut it itself, but that's ridiculous. That dragon's way too big to operate a switch this small.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Alright. And so this dome, you said it's like, is it like partially translucent?
A little bit. It's made of like a glass-like thing, and you can see inside a little bit better now that you're at it point blank. Would you like to just take a look inside, see what you can see?
Yeah, sure.
Make me a perception check.
That's gonna be a number. 23.
Utaka, still able to hear that low kind of buzzing murmur, muffled by the water, but still audible. You start to swim away from the door, remembering where it is, to start kind of circling the boundaries of it, to kind of get an idea. And as you go to a higher up point of the dome and kind of peek in, you hone in on one of the lights you had seen. And looking inside, you see what appears to be a stark white room. It has that kind of clinical look. It almost reminds you of Dr. Ulysses' lab. And inside you can see people, humans, elves, and dwarves, all sitting in small circles, some looking out at the water, all of them eating, and you kind of squint and you notice an elf towards the back of the room taking a long sip of water from what you recognize as Griaz's water skin.
Just rude. Just so rude.
And that's not the only thing that catches your eye. You notice among the humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, all sorts of common folk, although the largest population seems to be humans, elves, and dwarves, you kind of squint as you notice these humanoid figures, most of them anyway, kind of go walking among them, but they're made of metal. They look artificial. Their movements stilted. Again, their motions remind you of those mechanical beasts you fought in Charles T. Cheddar's, but they don't look as fun and cartoony. They look like you can see weapons strapped to them. These metallic humanoids that just simply patrol, not looking at anyone, and the people don't look at them, just patrolling among the people here. And occasionally it'll point its weapon at somebody and presumably say something, and you can't, it's muffled by just, again, water, glass, and distance, but you can see a dwarf look up from what they're eating and just say something with a wave of the hand, and the machine gives a nod before walking onward. And you see all of these people splitting what appears to be the ahul meat and water you guys had given Blood Maw among themselves, as they all, easily hundreds of people, splitting it as many ways as they can while still making sure as many people as possible get to eat. You can see women and children being given priority, as well as the elderly, while those who are healthier and in their prime seem to be going without and just kind of gaze like mournfully at the food that there's just not enough for them to have.
I would like to cast Detect Magic to learn more about the structure of this dome. Is it magical in nature, or is it more like what it appears to be, like physical glass sort of thing?
As you cast Detect Magic, your kind of hands on the glass as you look curiously at all the sights within. It does appear to be regular glass, so it doesn't appear magical in any way, at least that you can tell. Although how huge this dome is, there could be magic on it elsewhere that your spell can't reach, but as far as where you are right now, you do not feel any magic that you don't expect to feel within its range.
And from what I can tell, they are walking like normal, so I assume there's air in there.
Yeah, and nobody
Okay.
seems to have any kind of apparatus that's stopping them from, and they appear to be breathing, eating, and talking to each other completely normally.
And the magic on this dome, like, would I have any gauge on how powerful that magic
Well,
is?
like I said, you're not detecting magic, at least
I'm
that
not,
you can
right.
feel.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. The urge to break the bubble is great, I must say. Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna send a message to Israel.
All right. So yeah, I'll say this is happening like because in the time it would take you to swim around the dome, find this, process all of it, send it. I'll say by this point they're negotiating with the goblins. So Israel, pretty much where we left off is when this message will reach you. Go ahead.
Hey, found the lair, I think. Bunch of people inside it, maybe held hostage by machines. Weird. I could probably break it. You think I should? You're muted.
Kari, you're muted.
Yeah,
Kari.
you're muted. They'll figure it out.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. You know. Okay.
What is going on?
Do you want to type out your stuff?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
We kept trying to say you.
I'm sorry. I was like trying to process like 5 things at once.
Sorry, it's
My
okay.
deepest apologies.
No worries.
First up, please don't. Dragon was 2,350 goblins from Augur. Negotiating now. Those are refugees. Protected. Steal stuff? Question mark. And that's it. I guess that's 20. I got 5 more words. Our stuff, not theirs. End. 24 words.
Okay. I will say before we cut back to the party, or rather the bulk of them, Utaka, that you receive your reply pretty quickly. Unexpected information with it. What would you like to do?
So I suppose that depends. I have a question.
I may have an answer.
Given the state of that I sort of slept, would you consider that I could prepare new spells?
I think you need a long rest specifically to prepare new spells. Sorry.
Hmm. All right. He will slip his way back over towards the gate.
Okay.
And how's he gonna do this? I guess start. Okay. Is there anything? Let me think. Let me look at my inventory. Okay. I would like to try and start cranking it open, and I want to make the caveat. I don't want to just stand there if it looks like anything's going to come out. At a sign of life, I would like to jam a dagger into the crank and like prop it sort of open.
Okay.
And then kind of like pull back and see if I can like slip around and slip in.
Okay, so basically you're going to try and crank it open, but if you see anything move, you're going to prop it to force it to stay open, get away, and then try and sneak in around whatever comes out.
Yes.
Okay. Make me a strength check to see if you can get that crank open.
Uh-huh. Oh boy. An 11.
Utaka, you rub your hands together, grab onto the crank, and
Yep. That's about what he expected, honestly.
and eventually, albeit underwater, you have to kind of come back with a you cannot get this thing open with your bare hands. It's pretty heavy.
He's gonna kind of like mutter, sorry about this. And then he will snap his fingers and appear Garnet underwater. Yeah. to whom he is going to cast with the Spectre of Pin, enlarge. What is it like? Enlarge insect or whatever it's called. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
let's see if a giant scorpion is a little better at grabbing things.
All right, make me a strength check for Garnet using the giant scorpion stats. Garnet can't hold their breath long enough to try and do this, so.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's a +2 if it helps.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I was pulling that up. I will kind of like mutter under my breath. This better fucking work. And I would like that to be guidance, if possible.
Yeah, sure, I'll allow that. That's fun. I'll let that fly.
Okay, here we go, Garnet. You can do it. Oh, hey! That is a 16 plus 4 plus 2. That's a 22.
All right, Garnet, enlarging with a, and like some water and bubbles get displaced a little bit. Garnet kind of awkwardly crab swims their way up to the door and begins to turn the crank as Garnet seems to pull it to the furthest it can go, and with a kind of curious, almost investigative gesture, pushes upward, and you watch as the steel door begins to open upward, almost like a garage. And you can see water immediately begin to flood in to the room on the other side. There doesn't appear to be anything living that you can see at a glance, although make a perception check if you want to be sure.
Yeah. 17.
Looking inside, you don't see anything moving. However, you do see several more of those odd, vaguely humanoid mechanical things lining the wall, although they do not appear to be active at the moment, nor do they react at all as the room begins to flood.
All right. Be like, hey girl, just distract from me for a moment, and kind of like will her to walk a little bit into the enclosure as I slip around and try and slip in.
All right, make me a stealth check.
26.
Okay, Utaka, as Garnet begins to, again, crab swim their way in, you swim and slip into this strange garage room. And as soon as Garnet crosses the threshold, not immediately crosses into the room, but like is essentially in the center of it, and as you swim inside, you can see a little bit better now. It appears to be what you would almost compare to a dock, except it appears to be made with the idea of underwater intent in mind. And it's made of this strange stone-like material that you're not familiar with. It's kind of abrasive to the touch. But as you kind of cautiously crouch, hovering in the water behind one of these like kind of stone piers, you watch as Garnet reaches the center and approaches one of the docks. The mechanical men, their eyes begin to flicker and glow, specifically with a kind of turquoise colored light. And they all step out of the almost perfectly shaped shelving they were in, and start to approach Garnet, who kind of nervously looks around and then not looking directly at you to give your position away, but clearly looking for some kind of direction of what to do.
Well, it's a good thing I can communicate telepathically with my familiar. You're doing great.
The machines approach Garnet, and one kind of looks them up and down and stares at them for a long moment. And then you can see Garnet is enveloped in this bright turquoise light matching their eyes before the light goes away. And you can hear, it's muffled by the water, so you can't make out what they're saying, but they say something, and then they walk past Garnet and out towards the garage door, where they swim, surprisingly gracefully for machines, approach the lever and start to pull the door back shut. And do you want to try and slip back out, or are you going to let them close the door behind you?
No, I'll stay inside, yeah.
The door is shut, and you are plunged into complete underwater darkness. You and your familiar, who is on a very running out supply of air, surrounded by these strange machines. We'll come back to you in a moment.
Okay.
The rest of you upstairs. Israel, you have your brief interaction with Utaka. Anything from the rest of you? Israel, you can still do stuff as well, obviously, just to give an indication of where we are.
Ivron would give Harris a nod, I think, for his earlier look. Like, if anything, we should help them out.
So here is what I propose. How passable is the dragon head?
Up close in broad daylight, it's not a very convincing fake.
What about the tail
It's mostly the fact
something like that?
the tail and wings are actually pretty convincing. However, you do see that the inside of the dragon is mostly hollow. So if they do any kind of inspection, it almost certainly won't pass.
Okay. But the scales, do I see Israel plucking the scales?
Probably while they're talking, she's just gonna start gathering them up.
Oh.
Make me a survival check.
Sure.
What if, all of us, we turn
It's
into
a
bounty?
12.
Oh, sorry.
That'd be a 12.
You start gathering. The scales are glued on pretty tight with whatever this adhesive that they're using is. You struggle to get a lot without breaking them, because again, these are older dragon scales, so they're kind of brittle. You manage to gather a small handful, but they're not in fantastic condition to begin with, and removing them did not help that. Go on, guys.
So, here's what I'm thinking. We report that the dragon is dead, that we have slain it. You and your companions don't fly the dragon machine around. And when we get paid, we give you a percentage of the money so you can just buy goods.
Do you think anyone in the Empire is going to deal with goblins?
I mean, you won't have to deal with the Empire. You just go
Exactly,
to Jor, which is now under Bluefield Alliance control.
The trick is we don't tell them that anyone involved is goblins.
I imagine it'll arouse some suspicion, though, won't it? Goblins suddenly coming into that much money. Thousands of us coming in to buy food and resources.
Don't go in 1,000 at a time. Keep most of you at your home working and doing other projects. Send small caravans. You don't have to carry all the money on you at one time. Just enough to buy the goods to, start farming or start setting down roots.
How much gold are we talking?
It was what, 18,000?
If it was a dragon and you killed it, they were promising you 18,000.
It is 18,000 if we can prove that we have killed the dragon.
The goblins kind of look to each other, seeming to be legitimately considering it. And looking back to you, they all kind of mutter to each other. They seem to be in a little bit of disagreement on the matter, but it seems that this number one is being expected to make the actual decision on the matter. And I suspect our colony will be left unbothered, yes?
We have no intention of telling anyone about your colony.
But we would like our things back. Preferably.
Most of the food has already been eaten, I'm afraid. Although,
mostly the canteens, those are just annoying to replace. Some of us have feelings about them.
Very well.
And the ring.
Okay. And we found some bottles among the food. Do you want those back as well?
I wouldn't eat them.
Why not? We thought maybe they were seasoning of some kind.
We did
Oh,
initially
that's
think you were a
spicy.
dragon. Those are, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to take those back. We'll use those later. Not you.
We'll have to run back to the colony to grab them if you're willing to wait here. The suit should still be functional enough to get us there and back.
That is fine. We should, before you do that, we should work together for solutions. I like to, 2,000 goblins, and raise my voice. Out of all of you, do any of you have an idea how we can sell it that we have slain a dragon?
Bring their head!
Head's not convincing. Next.
Or maybe in the right light!
It may be the blood loss that I am subject to, but perhaps we could stage us killing the dragon for all to see. I'm not very good at deception, but perhaps one of you is better suited.
See, Ivron, you're thinking of it as lying, but instead it's acting, which is scarier somehow.
I'll lay on hands for the full amount on Ivron. Seeing the amount of blood and having forgotten.
Oh, Ivron,
That's
Ivron
40
just shoot
HP.
you. No, Ivron will shoot you away. No, say no. It's okay. We have sunflowers. No need to waste your strength.
Is that fair? We could stage the fight. What if we had Ivron and the rest of us in being carried on top of this, and Ivron has his wings, and then we make a big show of it. We quote unquote kills the dragon. The dragon crashes into the water, and we swim ashore.
And what happens to the suit afterwards?
Well, we won't do significant damage to the suit, and you just swim the suit away. We just have to make sure that when it crashes, it is within sight of the cities that people will have witnessed, and that they won't be likely to go out looking for somebody.
And what about the Bluefield fleet? Will they not see a dragon and assume it's a threat to them and shoot at us?
Are they still out? They should be still outside shore.
Did they have
Right.
ballistas?
They didn't have ballistas, but they do have the bell. Not to mention the harpies.
That's true. I am sure that we could contact them. We are on good terms with them, and plus it is the contract was made with the Emelian Empire, right?
Like your quest?
Yeah.
Yes.
On top of that, it benefits them that we succeed because it is taking money from the Emelian Empire.
And you won't tell them about this.
We will not. Is there a reason that you do not want the Bluefield Alliance to know about this?
I just...
Do I believe him?
Make an insight check.
That is a 18.
The thought occurs to you, Gaharis. Let me double check here. Yeah, okay. The thought occurs to you, Gaharis. You hadn't really thought too much about it now, but why would they even be afraid of the Bluefield Alliance shooting at them if the Bluefield Alliance is in on this? And if they're the Augur Bowmen, what are they doing all the way out here? They're literally across the continent from Augur, which, granted, the ones you met too, but they specified they were on a scouting mission. These guys appear to just be hanging out here, feeding the colony, which goblins and Augur aren't a colony anymore. They're a city-state.
So where are you actually from? Or are you actually from underneath the water?
Of course we're from under the water. You saw us come out from under the water.
But Augur isn't a city-state, and if you were part of the Bluefield Alliance, why would you be afraid of them shooting you down? I have not lied to you. If you simply want to stay out of the war, I understand.
It's not that, it's... Fine. I'll tell you all the truth. We're not from Augur. We're just a goblin colony from the Underdark. We have a stake in the war ashore. They asked us to join them as mercenaries, and we agreed. But we found the people of Zaidan hiding in that underwater dome, and they were starving. They were out of food, and they're our enemies, but we agreed we would help them get food from the rest of the Empire until what they're afraid of in Zaidan blows over.
What are they afraid of in Zaidan?
They said that there's a monster that stalks the wasteland that used to be the swamp. They call it the Soul Wave. Like a tsunami of spirits and ghosts that stalks the wasteland.
Thank you for the truth.
We didn't want to hurt anybody. We couldn't just sit by and watch them starve. Our orders were to just leave them there, leave them to their well-deserved fate, but we didn't have the stomach for it.
That makes you braver than most.
we're technically with the Bluefield Alliance, but we're just mercenaries. If they found out that we disobeyed orders and aided the enemy, we'd likely be killed.
Then we won't let them know. We will contact the Bluefield Alliance and say that we are on top of a dragon and fighting it, and to not take shots at it, as we have it handled. We don't want to get hit by a ballista or some harpies.
Make a persuasion check.
13 plus... What is my persuasion? That's a 9. That's a 22.
Very well. As long as you promise that my colony and I can stay out of all of this afterwards. We'll decommission the suit, and as long as you can do something to help the people of Zaidan, we'll just move on and go to another part of the war front, and you won't hear from us again.
You don't have to leave. If you and your colony wish to stay and live wherever you have been living, I point to the plants. The watermelons were for food, right? Isn't that what they told us at least? Or no, barricades.
No,
You're
you're
growing
thinking...
giant watermelons for...
no, it was pumpkins you're thinking of,
pumpkins. But yes. But wasn't there something mentioned for food as well at the greenhouse way back? At ground?
Yes, but I don't think it was one of the magical plants you bought.
No, I didn't buy it, because I didn't need it at the time. But now I know it exists. There are, and I point to the sunflowers and the pitcher plants. There are magical plants that the Emelian Empire has been cultivating. Some of these are pumpkins that are in joy, that grow almost instantaneously, and they grow extremely large. I assume that if we were able to purchase some of those for you and for the people in your care, your wards, that you would be able to cultivate a crop and feed yourselves quite sufficiently until the war is over.
We would need a place to grow them. Zaidan is a wasteland, and nothing is going to grow underwater where there's no light.
Well, if we get rid of the Hydra up here, you could farm here. And she just points to like all of the uninhabited jungle to her left.
And what happens when they get word of a goblin colony in Emelian Empire territory?
It's not Emelian Empire territory. This is formerly territory of Jor, and they have ceded Jor. Not only that, boats of the Bluefield Alliance would be patrolling these shores. Whatever their feelings towards you, you'd be a goblin colony looking for help. If you were suddenly beset by the Empire, they'd also be honor bound to help you.
Very well. If you kill the Hydra and do something to help the people of Zaidan, we'll set up crops, you said, and if we can get the damage to the suit fixed, we'd be willing to help you with this deception to convince the people that the dragon is dead, as long as we get a cut of what you receive in return.
I look to the rest of the group. Griaz?
Yeah, that's fine. Honest answer is I'm kind of worried about y'all, and I just want to make sure that everything's copacetic because you lied to us a couple of times. So one way or another, when y'all go back under the water, I am coming with you. Make sure that we get sorted out right, but...
Very well.
Oh, one more thing. One of our number might already be in your, underwater city. They're not there to harm anyone. They were just scouting when we thought you were, a real dragon.
Actually, asterisk to that. They are not there to harm anyone. They still might harm someone, which is another reason why I'm coming along.
Of course. Do you have a description of this person?
Angry?
Soggy. Angsty.
Water Ganassi. Long, locked hair.
Wait. Water Ganassi?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we sent them under the water.
You can see several of the goblins start to like mutter to each other, and number one looks to all of you and just, if we're going to go, we need to go now before they get inside.
Leads the way. Let's go.
Why?
The people of Zaidan and my colony are not the only things that live in that city. There's old things, these constructs from the first and second age, and they will react with hostility to any water genasi they see. Apparently, they resemble an ancient enemy of theirs from the old wars.
Yeah, no, that's bad. That would definitely cause some collateral damage to your colony. Yeah, we should get down there.
Yeah, honestly, that tracks though. That feels exactly like something that would
Let's
happen.
get going. I want to learn how to pilot this thing. So I'm gonna just head for the tongue.
You might be able to. You have larger hands than us.
Wait,
And he gives
with
like
all
a.
the holes in it, will it seal?
We don't. And they kind of swear under their breath in Goblin and just. We'll try to get it fixed quickly. Perhaps it's best if the rest of you go on ahead of us and get down there. Do you have a way to get down there? There's a door. You just crank it, and then the automatons will seal it behind you.
The problem is getting under the water.
Yeah, and like Israel is looking at the water and looking at the possible distance and just like.
Harris is like, I don't know if I can keep continuously throwing Israel into the water.
If I had prepared the spell today, we would be fine. But otherwise, I can go down there first, or we can sit here and I can try to burning hands this metal shut.
I can
What
also
certainly would help. Do none of you possess magic that can seal things together?
I also have mending. I feel split.
Do you have anything that could help me swim?
Negative.
Fine.
Well, if he has magic, that will help us get it fixed quickly. We'll need all hands. And he gives a whistle through his teeth and just, everyone, we need to get the suit prepared and get down there. We have a water genasi down in the city, and it's only a matter of time before the automatons stumble across them.
Excellent. She does offer to the nearest in charge, probably number one. I know woodworking. What can I do to help? And like stitching and stuff. So she's like, I got skills. Where do you want me?
The internal structure of the dragon is wood. We'll need you on the inside. Come.
Cool. She will climb in.
Yeah. Harris just wants to steer this thing. Or learn how to steer it.
All right, Garrus. All of you basically are beset upon by squads of goblins to actually help with the repairs. Griaz, you're put with the welding team who start welding up the holes that Ivron created in the legs and torso, and the one Ivron created on the chest. Israel, you're taken inside to start help, like repairing damage to the wooden structures that hold the suit up, basically, like essentially acting as the dragon's ribs. And Harris, you're taken up to its head, where you can essentially see as like a periscopal vision out the eyes of the dragon. And the goblins, since the head did not take, other than the javelin and the sniper rifle round, didn't take significant damage. And from the looks of it, the sniper rifle round went through the head and out the other side, so the overall damage actually wasn't that great. And the javelin is stuck in the side, but not deep enough to cause any serious structural damage. But while goblins on the head are fixing that, the goblin starts just pointing out different levers and what they do to you. Pulling this one opens and closes the jaw. This opens and closes the eyes, and he can kind of pulls on some chains, and you can see the lights kind of shut on and off. And if you want to make it roar, and you can see there's a massive horn, and and as the sound acoustically travels out, it sounds on the other side like the dragon roaring.
Does this look like it was made by a wizard? Or an artificer?
Make an Arcana check.
Oh gosh. Don't know nothing about magic.
Could Ivron try to make a history check on the earlier ages of...
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Wow,
make a history check.
19 plus 2 for a 21.
Okay.
This is probably the best I've ever rolled Arcana knowing anything about magic.
And I'm just waiting for Ivron's history check before I give the results.
18.
Okay. Ivron, you do recall information on the earlier ages. Information on the first age is rather scarce. The first age was said to be the golden age of the world, where the gods had not even fully come to be yet. The world was ruled by the primordial titans, and humanity lived under their complete subjugation, but because humans were one of the only species at the time outside of a few non-human empires, but none of the ones we know today. Overall, life could have been worse. It was essentially one of those benevolent dictatorship kind of things. Humans were, from the legends you've heard, immortal, pure of heart, powerful, and while magic did not exist as we know it, technology was incredibly advanced, allowing them to accomplish similar miracles with even less training. The second age information is a bit easier to find. Supposedly, when the Great Cataclysm happened, where magic was essentially washed over the world by a great stone from the stars that crashed into the world and ended the first age with its impact. As the non-human empires began to emerge, you actually know, or rather you think you know, what the goblin is referring to as the ancient enemy that Utaka may be mistaken for. It is said that the modern-day water genasi is the ancient descendant of what was known back in those days as the Atlanteans, a race of magically mutated humanoids that lived on the coast and gradually became more and more acclimated to its waters before, supposedly, as the second age ended and the third began, became what you now know as the water genasi. So, yes, it actually does stand to reason if these automatons are from the second age. And you know that the Atlanteans were at effective constant war with their surrounding empires. The elvish city-state of Minotis, the Necomata Empire of Sylvestria. The Atlanteans were at war with everyone, and supposedly their lust for blood and conquest was so great that it eventually led them to destroy themselves, and all that remains of them is the Water Genasi, their descendants. With that in mind, you can understand, even if it is unfortunate, that they would see Utaka, who to them is identical to their ancient enemy, and see it as a threat to their sanctuary. And honestly, you can't find it in your heart to completely disagree that Utaka is not a threat to their sanctuary.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the sanctuary than I am about Utaka, to be honest, even after knowing all this. But through the mending, Imran will tell the stories in his lore, and those about who hear it. So that way you guys are all kind of caught up.
Yeah. And I'll say that since you rolled pretty well, as one last note, a lot of the second age structures and the old empires that collapsed with the transition of the second age to the third, an event that is known to most as simply the Cataclysm, when the world was torn asunder, the gods physically rending the once great supercontinent where all the world's peoples lived into multiple smaller ones. You know that many cities in the Underdark or lost ruins such as this one that the goblins have taken over do still hold relics of the old ages, many of them still functioning. And you know that is often the groundwork of many Underdark empires. Underdark creatures like Starspawn and Dark Elves and dwarves and things of that nature will find these old relics and these old ruins. As the world was split by the gods, the cities would get buried by tectonic shift and then be discovered by subterranean empires generations later, who would typically simply build on the old foundations, which would give them a bit of a leg up, technologically speaking, which is part of the reason that dwarves tend to be very technologically savvy, as they have access to far more advanced things than most of the rest of the world does, albeit they keep most of it hidden far underground. Okay, Harris. Looking around, you don't believe that magic is involved in the construction of this. You can see a tank of what appears to be some sort of fuel that leads out to the mouth, presumably to power its breath weapon. The eyes are simply bright lights. The wings are powered by cranks that make the wings go up, go down with enough force to create a draft. The tail is a bunch of wires and steel acting as structural support. Overall, most of the structure appears to be pure technology. No magic involved in its make, as far as you can tell. Make an investigation check. Looking around, you don't find it. You can find several of the goblins carve their names into the seats they were operating in, but other than that, you do not find any identifying sigils of who made this. Is that it for everybody on the repair team? All right.
I would say just one last thing. If Ron would have grabbed sunflowers, how much could he be healed by them?
Let's see.
Or however that works.
They'll be active for at least another minute. So
He'll frolic in the flowers.
So you go frolic in the flowers for a bit, and they will heal you for Garrus, for funsies. Do you want to roll, or do you want me to? Sure.
You have got this.
Averon, as you frolic, before the flowers begin to lose their abilities, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See, I planted about 11, so you are able to heal. You are able to heal 30 hit points before the flowers begin to lose their magical oomph. You basically frolic around the tree line as you approach the flowers, you feel this kind of warmth enter your body, and your wounds begin to close. And you almost can't help but instinctively smile at the warm feeling that courses through your body.
Who wouldn't smile frolicking through flowers?
Frolicing's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
That's it for me.
All right, is that it for everyone on the repair team? Okay. As the party works to get the dragon reassembled so that they can save Utaka from being mistaken for an ancient Atlantean and gunned down by robots. Utaka. After a moment, after the machines have shut the door, you hear this begin to course around you. You almost panic instinctively before you see none of the machines are looking at you, and you feel yourself getting gently pulled downwards as water is drained from this chamber. And as the water is drained, you're still in the water as they stop the draining about halfway. And your head finally above water, you're able to see your surroundings a bit more clearly as this eerie, dim red light overtakes the room. And this allows you to see these automatons better. You almost mistake them for people. Again, they have that very humanoid shape to them, but this is the clearest and closest look you've gotten to them, as some of them actually climb up the dock to get back to where they were and start patrolling. They have a humanoid shape to them, but they're pretty sizable. Like they almost like people in thick steel armor. Think Harris if the armor was like a kind of goldish silver instead of black. However, in the place of the typical helmet or helm, you see what appears to almost be like a diving helmet with lights coming out in all directions. And one hand is a simple humanoid mechanical hand, while the other appears to be some kind of device you can't identify, although from its circular shape, you would imagine it's either some kind of tool or perhaps some kind of weapon. And on its back, you can see 2 additional devices. Both of them are long metallic-looking tubes, although one of them is longer and thicker, and the other one appears to be made up of a bunch of smaller tubes that circle each other. And every time these machines take a step, it's a loud sound. And looking around there,
I did not want to stick around here, to be clear.
What's your
This
plan?
is the danger zone. I want, while they're distracted with all the water, with readjusting the water and with Garnet there, I wanted to use that 26 stealth roll to slip into the city.
Okay, I'll allow that. As you kind of crawl up onto the again kind of abrasive stone dock, you keep to the walls and slip your way past the automatons, and you can see another crank door at the other side of the room. Make me a strength check to try and open it.
Yeah, sure. That thing I'm real good at. Okay. How about a 15 plus 0?
Okay, and make me a stealth roll, see if you can try to get it open quietly.
Um, 14?
Just a hot sec. Not checking passive perception of anything, don't worry.
Uh-huh.
Nope, it's all good.
Why would you be doing that, Matt?
All right. And sorry, what was your stealth again?
14?
Okay. Utaka, you grip the thing, and you're not sure how loud it's going to be or how like rusty this thing might be, but you start to crank it. Crank. It's going relatively silent, nothing but the occasional of the motion. You go slow and cautiously, keeping an eye over your shoulder on the machines as they patrol. Garnet kind of looking around confused as the machines just seem to completely ignore them. But as you're not sure how far you need to turn this thing. You've not really worked with doors like this before. You give it a bit too harsh of a turn, expecting it to go all the way, and it's open, and the door, you can start to push the door open, but all of the machine's lights start to get directed in your direction. Do you just want to book it?
Yeah. I'll book it. I'm gonna drop concentration on giant insect and cast enhanced ability on myself to give myself advantage on dexterity checks.
Okay. And what languages do you speak?
Halfling primordial.
Okay. You can hear the machine say something in unison in a language you don't understand. You drop concentration, Garnet shrinks down, and you call them back to yourself, and casting that spell on yourself, you run, slamming the vault door shut behind you. Not even stopping to lock it, you just go, running deeper and deeper into this city, patrolled entirely by machines from a forgotten age that will see you as an ancient enemy of theirs and treat you accordingly. As you make your way past pipes and dark hallways, making your way out of the sort of structural part of the dome and more, and finally you manage to slip your way out of a sort of maintenance hall pipeline, and you find yourself in dark, grimy city streets. And looking up, you can see the structure of the dome over your head and the ceiling of the Lake of Mazai overhead with the icebergs drifting. And as you look around to take in your surroundings, you can hear more of these machines patrolling in every direction, but you can also hear the murmur of other people. So that at least gives you some sense of hope. You are inside the dome and have, for now, escaped their notice. However, they do at least know you are here. And I think that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh boy.
You know, I initially had some thoughts when it was revealed there are 2,350 kobolds in that dragon. This is not where I
was
expected
so
to end up.
close.
It was so good.
I was that's part of the reason I found it so funny that you kept saying that, because I was like, well, it's not kobolds.
So close.
I even asked you, like, why kobolds specifically, out of curiosity?
Because they're scaly. That's it. That's the only
kobolds
reason.
beat gobos, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You've got kobos and you've got gobos.
Let me actually check. I have been sitting on that idea, a colossal red dragon suit operated by 2,000 goblins. I've been sitting on that idea. Let me check. You can go and start doing outro stuff. I've just...
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Graham, or Graham Crackers. This is my channel. If it's your first time tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are ending our stream, but thank you for tuning in and watching us. Here on the channel, we are all about playing and making memories with friends, whether those are TTRPGs, MMORPGs, or just video games. We are here to have a good time, record it, and, you know, maybe 10 years down the road, rewatch it. Because we'll all be in a different place by then, probably.
Yeah, I've been rewatching them.
Tonight, I had the absolute pleasure and delight of playing Gaheris Nervos Blackmont, the Tiefling Oath of Conquest Paladin, and getting to scare 1,800-something goblins with a single round was the highlight for me. But you can find me on this channel every Monday, where I will play some sort of TTRPG or MMORPG or video game at 7:30, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Every Tuesday, I have 2 campaigns in IDM. We have Shards of Anarion, which will be back this upcoming Tuesday, where they're going to fight a terrible, terrible nightmare dragon in a city of dead dwarves that are all raised to undeath. Will they live? I don't know. That's a question for Season 2. But, outside of that, every Tuesday, let's dial it back. Every other Tuesday, when I'm not doing Shards of Anarion, I'm doing Anarion's Rest, which is a whole nother campaign. That starts at 7:30 Eastern Standard, and in that campaign, they are investigating a sketchy company that they may believe is tied to the malevolence and the debilitating curse of not only the dwarves, but also the furbolgs. But outside of that, you can find me here every Friday. Other than that, you can't find me anywhere because I am busy. But you know who you can find other places? My cast. So I'd love to hear where you can find them.
Hey everybody, it's me, Kari. You can find me here every Friday, and you can also find me in that Anarian's Rest campaign Graham mentioned. I play the Tiefling Wizard Karis in that campaign, and for next session, she's currently going to bully some elderly dwarves for information. It's going to be really great. So tune in for that when it rolls around again. Not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday. Come back to bully the elderly. Other than that, you find me here every Friday, you know, playing Israel, the lovely Fae Pack Warlock. But really, besides that, you can't really find me in most places except on Guild Wars 2, where my player name is down there in the chat. If you want to hook up, ask questions, you know, play, do stuff, I'm there. I do stuff. So, and you're welcome to join me on my adventures. So with that, I will turn it over to the other lovely folks here.
Okay, sure. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Derek Sword. If you want to find me in more of my projects, best place is Twitter, dsword16. A lot of my stuff is on hold until a couple more months. I have a move planned and other things. But in the meantime, you can watch all the old stuff, which is still out there. That includes Horizon's Call Season 1, which you can find on YouTube and also on Eva Sarid's Twitch channel. There's also I'm the host of the podcast Monster Crush. So if you enjoy monsters, you enjoy learning about monsters and smooching monsters, you can find that wherever podcasts are found. And other than that, you can find me here on Graham Cracker's channel every other Tuesday in Shards of Anarian. So the upcoming game this coming Tuesday, I will be in that along with the amazing Pharaoh. And of course on Friday, where I am here doing this. But hey, like I said, I love monsters. I play monsters in both. Bugbear in this one, Noel in the other. It's a great time. Love to see you in chat. I will hand it off to. We'll just popcorn this. Hey, Farah, where can people find you?
Hey Derek, it's so funny you ask. People can find me here every Friday and also every other Tuesday on Shards of Anarian. You can also find me on Twitter at Ferocious, otherwise in a D&D game near you. Off to you, Jeremy.
Oh, I thank you, Pharaoh. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim. You can't find me anywhere. I do have social medias, but I don't actually pay attention to them because I'm super duper busy, with the exception of every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Graham Cracker's channel. Not a whole lot to say about me other than I had an amazing time tonight, and I hope you did too. Now I will pass it off to our wonderful DM, Matt. Where can we find you and all of your works and projects?
Oh, thank you. I was Matt, your DM. I played everyone else. I played all 2,000 of those goblins, and they each have a backstory, and you're gonna learn them. If you like my DMing and want to see more of it, check out Odd Tornado Productions on Twitch and YouTube to find my other streamed games on Mondays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time. I run the campaign Under Locks and Keys, featuring a party of globe-trotting treasure hunters traveling the world of this campaign setting to gather the artifacts of the gods to unlock either a great treasure or a terrible curse, one of the two. Right now, they're going after another thing that the ancient Atlanteans built, a pistol in honor of the god Vulcan, which is currently being protected by dark elves. So that's a lot of fun. They're about to have to break into and out of a prison simultaneously, so that's going to be a good time. And on Tuesdays, you can find my other streamed game of Black Ink and Blue Blood, featuring a party of politicians and nobles trying to unravel a political conspiracy if they can just stop trying to kill each other first. They're about to have to hack the planet and save a cyberpunk city of elves from being turned into monsters. So it's a good time. But if you want to see more of my creative stuff without having to worry about someone using a magic sword on all 2,000 of my goblins, or at least on 1,800 of them, check out my webcomic Undercommon on Webtoon and Tapas, also taking place in the same setting, featuring one of the first goblins to ever become an adventurer instead of a dragon. If I've forgotten anything, please check out Odd Tornado Productions official on Tumblr, where you can find links to not only all of my stuff, but all the stuff that everyone else I know gets to do, including this very stream. So be sure to catch that. I'm wearing a shirt of it. So that's about it for me.
All right. Well, you should really check out each and every one of these people, even if they are just on this channel, because they are all phenomenal friends and phenomenal people. I quite honestly can't envision spending a Friday without them. But for now, we're going to let you go and enjoy your weekend. I know you are itching to get at it, so maybe you'll roll some dice for your own, maybe you'll go to bed, who knows. But for now, we're going to let you go. It's just bye for now, but, you know, we hope that you stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. So, take care of yourself. Bye for now.